Indeed.
Like I said, I was telling him, man, I appreciate being such a big supporter of the brand. Man, I know you went crazy with the last merch drop. Definitely appreciate you for that. And it was cool meeting with you at the man, almost a year ago, actually, like going on a year, the Gabe and Anno Domini Midi Money Mastermind event. And then the world really, really drastically changed after that. I feel I'm COVID to death as far as talking about, oh, what is your life like during quarantine? How has quarantine affected you? Like, I feel like that's like the go-to question in like any interview. So hopefully we don't have to go there because I feel like we're both kind of transparent as to how our lives have been. But let me drink this little OJ.
He switched it up today, y'all. He got the OJ.
Yeah, man, the OJ is so good. But it's still a coffee gang though. But what's good with you though, bro? We want to talk about your come up story, and I know they're dying for these gems, man. But I think a really good place to start off. Let's get right into the gems, and we'll kind of work our way around. What would you do if you were literally after this interview, everyone was erased of who you are, and you had to start from scratch on YouTube? What would you do? Or just start from scratch as being a producer? What would your steps be? What would you do different? What would you do the same?
Great question. And I want to let everybody know in the chat, shout out to you guys for hopping in live. We are live.
Yes, sir.
I want you guys to wake up. I want you guys to be excited. So pump yourself up. And this will be a conversation and less of like an interview because I like the back and forth. And Dylan, as mentioned, we met in Nashville, had a lot of fun. And I came there saying, look, Dylan, I respect you. Like, do you understand you have the MTV of the producer community?
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
And so that's why I respect you and honor you. And so getting to the question, you said if I had to start all over. So somebody mentioned in the chat, why does Busy have so many haters? I want you guys to rethink. Here's how I position it. I would rather live in truth and be my full self and let people hate me for being my truth and my full self than people be indifferent, not knowing me. And here's why. There's a reason why. There's a positive reason why. It's not just mumbo jumbo fluff talk. It's because haters make you exist in somebody's world where you did not exist. Think about it, Dylan. For the people who watch all your interviews, I remember I made a comment at one point and I got to ask for your forgiveness for your community. But I was like, everybody that hops on his platform is like, nah, I'm saying you just gotta believe. Nah, I'm saying you gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? Get to it, go through it. You know,
just work, man.
Just work. But I was like, y'all, it wasn't a diss. It wasn't a diss to you. It was just like, how can we have these people doing crazy good things and not share information like that?
So you think it's not sharing information? You think these people just genuinely are just kind of on a more like their come up is just more simple? Like, bro, I just believed and I worked and I was around the right people. You think that maybe that just is their truth? Like they're not as analytical. I know me and you are like real analytical, strategical, tactical guys. But yeah, what do you say to that?
That's a really good point. And there's a couple interviews with crazy guys who accomplish a lot saying very little.
Yeah.
But that shows their faith. And I was just about to get into it. Charlie Rocket really made it clear. He's like, there's all this tactic stuff, but behind the scenes, it's about how deeply we want it. It's about how deeply our intentions are aligned. It's all the faith stuff. And that's when I realized, I said, you know what? I was being overly critical because they weren't teachers like myself. Not everybody's meant to be this level of a teacher. So I could see the frustration, but I can also see why some of your videos have crazy amount of views with like, the world's best producers. So I understand people relate. They want to be those people. It doesn't matter what they tell you. It's that they motivated people because we have to have that balance of motivation and education. And so I'm going all the way around, but let me get to your question is that starting from scratch, if I didn't have a name, again, I want you guys to reframe. I would rather live in truth and go out screaming and have people hate me because the haters become your marketers. They become your free advertisement. So again, let's say Dylan starts from scratch, right? And let's say you live in Kentucky. What's a city in Kentucky?
Louisville? I don't know.
Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. So you live in Louisville, Kentucky, and you're like, man, I just got the internet. All I have is a laptop. Like, how do I get out there? You have to just scream what you believe in. You have to be a man on a mission. What is the mission? What's the commonality that you have between multiple other people? That's what makes people resonate with you is the commonalities. Let me ask you, Dylan, real quick. Do you have the same friends you had like in high school or elementary school?
Like one or two.
Yeah.
One or
and
two.
why do you think And why do you think that is?
I think it's just, man, it just as life unfolds, certain people go in other directions and you go in other directions. And, I don't even live, I live, thousands of miles away from my home city, and have for the past few years. So, that's one major thing too.
Mm-hmm. And it was up in Buffalo?
Rochester, about 45 minutes outside of Buffalo.
That's right. And you got to work with like Benny, like Griselda members, right? Like Benny?
Yeah, Benny. Yeah. I worked with Benny pretty closely, and Spesh and Class, all those guys. Yeah. Shout out to those guys.
When you told me, say it one more time.
No, I said shout out to those guys. Is it my? Let me make sure my audio here is the right one. Oops.
You're good. It's my headphones. When I talk, it's loud in my ear, and I spoke over you by accident. But when you said you work with 38 Spesh, I got excited because I'm like, 38 Spesh should be a part of Griselda. Like, why isn't he a part of Griselda? So I was excited about your story because a lot of people are like, we'll get into this later, but who's really for the producer community? And we'll get into that, maybe later. But my point in saying this is that,
are you going to call some people out that aren't for the producer community?
Not specific people, but companies.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. I was just going to say, I'm just giving the chat a little something to look forward to in case
we got spice coming, ladies and gentlemen. I need you guys to smash that like button and get hyped because today is about to unwind. You're about to change your life. And so I know I went all the way around, but I'm going to get to your question. My point is I had to preface it so people understand where I'm coming from. So if I'm starting from scratch and I'm living in truth, I'm a man on a mission and I'm finding these commonalities between these other people, that's how you galvanize a people. And this is how, Trump won presidency. This is how Hitler came to power. He found the people who had commonalities. That commonality just happened to be that there was a common enemy. Okay. So instead of positioning yourself as, an enemy of another group, position yourself as a commonality of interest. And that's how you're going to attract and resonate all these people. We're all music producers, but we don't all have Ableton. We don't all have FL Studio. We don't all care about sound design, but we're all music producers uniting under one flag.
Okay.
That's our commonality. Now you're into what, like investing in real estate now?
I mean, I haven't invested in anything. I haven't invested in any real estate yet, but it's definitely one of my goals in the next 6 to 12 months for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, how much a percentage of your audience do you really think is interested in that kind of success talk?
I don't know. I would think everyone to a point, but I know that not everyone is into that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people are just here because they want to learn how to sell beats online or get placements and stuff like that. But I know there's chat. Let me know who likes that success talk, that Rick Ross boss talk, investment talk.
Indeed. That's what I love because you're evolving. And that's why I asked you, how many high school friends do you still have? How many elementary school friends do you still have? Because we evolve. You're a leader. You evolve faster than other people. And when you evolve, you have less commonality with the people you used to resonate with. Mm. And that was my goal in talking about find the common interest between all your people. You want to find a common interest that will not change over 4 years. And here's why I really want to position this to you guys. Like, how do you define a friend? Because to me, if I look at all my friends and my histories, they only lasted 4.5 years. And the reason is not because they're bad people, not because they're evil. It's because my interests changed. Like, have you ever gone through a period where you were in like college or after high school where you were with the guys who all they cared about was chasing girls?
Yeah, I mean, basic shit, smoking weed and chilling and shit like that, partying type shit.
Partying. I know you got a girl now, and praise to her because she's lucky. Because Dylan is a leader, and not only a leader, but an innovative Phoenix energy type of leader. And this is the question you asked me. I know I'm going on and on and on, but you're tapping into something primal. And I hope people can understand this, is that real leaders like yourself, the 1%, we think about if everything went to crap, how can I destroy everything into dust and take that dust and rebuild a rock? So your brand is called Producer Grind, right? Oh, I thought it said Producer. On yours,
actually, mine says Producer Grind.
I have the other shirt as well.
Hey, gang.
Tripping now. It's strip poker. But so Producer Grind, let's really just break that down real quick. And then I'm going to capsulize the answer, okay? I know that was the longest answer in the history of your talks. But I'm getting to a point. Okay, so Producer Grind. What is grinding? Grinding, imagine a rock that you have in your hand, right? The Rockefeller rock, all right? Now, grinding is you beating at that rock until it turns into dust. You're just constantly working, beating that rock into dust. Now, the magic that separates Dylan from everybody else is Dylan can now take all the dust that he smashed from the rock, basically taking a macro big thing, smashing it into micro components, and then rearranging those components into a different shape. And that's the power, the Phoenix power that we all have. That's what separates Dylan from everybody else. It doesn't matter. Like Jay-Z said, right? He can put Dylan anywhere on the earth and Dylan will triple his work.
Jay-Z said that? He said Dylan?
Yeah. So that's our power. I just want people to understand. Smash it down to components and rebuild. So my whole point in saying all that was that you've elevated, Dylan, and that's why you don't resonate with the same people. So guys looking to build from scratch, you have to find a commonality that you can resonate with, people that will not change over 10 years. Not everybody's going to care about FL Studio in 10 years. It might be Ableton in the next 10 years. What's the deeper commonality? It's music production, music theory. That's never going to change. So that was my 10-minute answer for your 1 second question.
So you would find a commonality with the audience that you're going for. So yes. Isn't that production though? Isn't that like, wouldn't that be, or is that like, you got to go deeper than that?
Deeper than music production?
Yeah, like, cause you know how, like, you know, there's guys that resonate with certain guys, and, you know, they do different types of content. You know, maybe they're more of like vlog and show their personal life. Maybe some people are more about straight gems. Maybe some people are more like entertaining.
Yeah, this is a really good question. This is what separates Dylan from the rest of everybody else. And I want to get into the power of your question. So Dylan, do you ever see producers that you would love to have on your show and they pop up on the Genius channel with the little deconstructed episodes?
What you mean?
Like, I think Genius, is it Genius?
Oh yeah.
Help me out.
I know what Genius deconstructed is, but what you said, have I ever seen people be on there? What do you say?
For example, you're like, oh, Murder, you could have came to Producer Grind and put on for the community. Metro, like, you know.
Oh, right, I mean, shit, I ain't mad at him for doing Genius because, you know, that's a big platform.
Right. And my point is, you're talking about niching versus scaling. Like, music production is a big culture. 12 million, 20 million people, however big it is. So it might be too big to attack to really get the people you want. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, because you said you would find a commonality. And I mean, we all know that the obvious commonality is production, but like, what would you go like a level deeper than that?
Got you. See, this is his funnel thinking, his audience
funnel talk.
Funnel talk. So here's how it works. Okay. So in the beginning, we're all taught. Now think about this. This hoodie, this could be in Macy's. It could be in JCPenney. It could be in Walmart. It could be everywhere. That's called scaling. And the reason this can be everywhere is because it applies to a lot of people. Like the reason Kim K's famous, the reason Yeezys are like $1 billion companies, because everybody can wear shoes. I'm gonna say Kanye and Jeezy. Kanye did not become a billionaire by selling to only hip hop people. And my point is that at some point we can start with a niche, which is like, okay, I want to talk to music producers who love sound design. That's a niche. But the problem with the niche is that it has a market cap. And your audience is only going to be so big. So that's a great place to start and to kind of build authority. This happened to me. Let me give a quick story. I work with $1 billion company worth $5 billion at one point, valuated at $5 billion. It's different than worth, but valuated at $5 billion at one point. That's worth more than every artist combined who people chase placements for. So my question to people is like, why do they keep asking me about placements when I'm working with a brand worth more than every artist they've ever worked with? And my point in saying the brand thing is kind of a flex. I'll be honest. That kind of was a side brain flex, but to be honest about it. But to dig to the core is that, you know, the niche has a cap. Oh, here's what I was going to say. They knew me for FL Studio because they wanted to partner with Razer because they wanted music producers on their laptops. So they said, okay, we're going to give away FL Studio for free on this laptop to get people to buy it. So they said, who's the FL Studio guy? And then who popped up in their head? BusyWorks Beats. Their brain is like a Google search. And you want to have 2 words that are associated to you. So what are the 2 words? When people say Dylan from Producer Grind, like, what do you want people to think or pull up in their brain?
I don't know. It's kind of on the spot. I would have to think about that one. What would yours be like when people think of BusyWorks?
Yeah, Chad, I want to hear you guys' answers too. FL Studio and music production.
Okay.
I want to represent the real music producer who came from nothing, because that was my story. So my whole point in saying this is that I had to start with a niche, FL Studio, because I had to become the authority of that niche until I became a name. There's a magical point, Dylan. I don't know when you felt this, but there's a point when you're making content, kind of grinding, then you make a name or an authority for yourself. And it's not the same effort that you have to put in to convince people about your value. Does that make sense?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Once you guys have that name, that means you're set in a specific authority. You don't have to keep fighting for that niche anymore. That's when you scale up to the bigger stuff. So like, okay, I'm known for FL Studio. I'm known for music production. I've mastered that authority. I don't need to keep like, what's the word? Validating that I'm the guy.
Would you say it's been similar for like guys like Cash Money AP or K Beezy? Like they were known for producing and AP was known for tight beats, and then, he got in the industry, you know what I mean? And, it's kind of like he broadened his thing. And same with K Beezy. He was known for like tutorials and engaging with his community. And now he's in the industry getting placements and stuff. And they don't have to like try, like AP doesn't have to buy ads and shit like that. He just uploads to YouTube and people are going to buy his beats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's people who have names, and I'm going to list them out real quick because I have deep respect for everybody who contributes to the producer community. TB Digital. He's funny.
Shout out to my guy.
I don't know who all is on your team currently, but J Beats, Carrington, D Sims was on at one point, Letter L Beats, Av McCree, MG The Future, Craftmaster Production, Curtis King even. I know we had a little issue, but Curtis King. There's a guy from South Africa, X Dizzle, Gabe from Midi Money. I think he's in the chat. AD, Gabe.
What's good, Gabe?
I think that's him. There's Billy from Big Shot Beats. I wrote it down because I wanted to honor them real quick. Trizza from theproducerkit.com. Why'd I put Tamara's in the chat. Shout out there. Nicole Nix, who is a female producer. Ayana, who's on my team. Dana, Keon, Superstar O, Illmind. Shout out your favorite producer in the chat.
Facts, yeah.
We got Dylan, who I got to shout out.
Gang.
And who else is on my list? JB, I said that. Carrington, Timbaland, Sunny Digital, Metro, Murder Beats. So all these people have a brand identity. They don't have to keep convincing you that, like, I'm the FL guy. I'm the Ableton guy. I'm the Pro Tools guy. It's like they can do whatever they want. Scaling up. And Dylan, I just want to get to the core point. Sound Oracle. How did I forget Sound Oracle? My fault. Yeah, I have him on my mentors list. That's why. Oracle. Yeah, I have him on my mentors list. I guess my point is that at some point you guys are going to have a capacity. When you really push yourself and really hit that limit, you're going to be like, wow, like I want to do more, but I can't. And it's because we're too deep into the interest.
Okay.
When you're running ads, for example, do you do interest based or do you do like custom audiences?
I mostly do I do custom audiences, interest based, and I also do like pixel type stuff too, like retargeting.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't mean to be all up in your advertising strategy, but when it gives you that rough target audience, what's the number that it gives you as far as like the reach?
Oh shit, I don't even know, to be honest. Like, you mean when I'm doing what? A target interest base?
That thing, the little meter.
Yeah. For what?
So,
because it ranges, depends on what your what area interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess my question is, what's the biggest little meter number that you had?
I don't know. It gets into the millions for sure.
Right. And those probably got you the greatest results. And it's counterintuitive because we're taught riches are in the niches, right? But we're listening from guys who sell $4,000 courses to multimillionaires.
Yeah.
They're selling to the 1%. So of course the niches are in the riches are in the niches because they're talking to like a percentage of people that have the money anyway. So they're not talking about people who have an audience of the 95%. Am I making sense?
Who are the guys we're talking about here? Like the Russell Brunsons and the
off the top of my head, there's JT Fox. He's a life coach. You go to his free thing, he upsells you to $1,000 thing, upsells you to a $5,000 thing, upsells you to a $50,000 thing. Of course, the riches are in the niches because the people who can afford $50,000 are making him rich.
Okay,
and this is the one mental block that we all have. We think we have to start small. No, like when I'll be honest with you, Dylan. When I ran ads the first time, maybe 4 years ago, I learned from Grant Cardone. Are you a fan of Grant Cardone?
Oh, I've seen his content. Yeah, I've seen his content. I know who he is. I don't really tap in too much though. He's cool though.
10X.
Yeah. Scientologist. He's a Scientologist. You know that?
L. Ron Hubbard. Funny enough, guys in the chat. This is the little whatever.
Oh, let's hit it.
Listen, some of the greatest books I've ever read that changed my mind have been written or based on works of L. Ron Hubbard.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's controversial. Can I put your audience on real quick to a couple books?
Shit, I don't care. Yeah.
There's a book that will change you guys' life instantly. It will make you realize how overly complicated you look at life. And it's a book called The Basic Study Manual. It's written for like kids. This thing will change your life. Have you ever heard of it?
Say it again.
It's called Basic Study Manual.
No, I never heard of it.
Listen, it's like $6 on Amazon. I don't care what you guys think about L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology. This will change your whole mindset in like one sitting, and it's written for children. It's the craziest book ever. Basic Study Manual.
And it's written by L. Ron Hubbard?
It's either written by him or based on the works of.
Okay.
I don't think it's written by him, but based on the works of. It's taken from Scientology.
Okay.
Another great book, The Science of Thought. This is where Grant Cardone took his whole 10X thing from. He took it from The Science of Thought. And you want to know interesting enough? Remember I was talking about grinding, knocking the rock down into dust?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a concept in there called the 4 cycles of creation. It's create, which means like create, build momentum and keep going. Then there's create, destroy, which means like we're creating, but we have counter intentions and we destroy as we create. And then there's.
Can you give me an example of that?
In the book, they show like a house. So when you're building a house, you start brick by brick. You're building the foundation up. Then create. 3 creates is when you're building a house, putting in the air conditioner, putting up the lights, putting up the walls. You're in your flow, they call it, your momentum. Now, create, destroy is when you like your wall paint, but you want to take it down and make it green. Or you like this, you initially had an intention for a wall, but now you want to knock it down and build a studio. So you're still creating something new, but you have to destroy something in the path.
Okay. Because you've like reached capacity. You've reached capacity. Now you have to like rearrange and demo a little bit to create space for. Is that? Am I getting it right?
It's about rearranging, rebalancing.
But I'm saying it's because you reach a point like with your house where it's like, okay, I don't have any more land to create now. If I want to create more, I have to take down some stuff I've already done and change and rearrange. Like you said, am I on the right path here?
You went way deeper than I did. That's deep. That's actually way deeper than I could explain it.
Oh shit, I went too deep. My bad.
That was good. That was a really good explanation. You're right. And then there's a point where we're like, you know what? This house it wasn't tall enough. Let me destroy the whole thing and just make it 3 stories high. And we have to destroy it and rebuild again. As Nas said, destroy and rebuild. And they said the bridge is over, or whoever said that. Okay, I think it's Nas. Somebody help me in the chat. So that book will literally break down how we think and how to think. So again, Science of Thought is a good one, but the main one is called the Basic Study Manual. I want you guys to read that. And if your guys are like based on the Christian, did you grow up religious, like in a Christian church or anything like that?
Yeah. I went to I did first communion and everything.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You got christened, they poured the coffee over your head?
Yeah, when I was a baby, yeah. But I can't lie though, I haven't been to church in years though.
Me neither. And you know why?
Why?
You can't sit there and listen to another man who's giving you like partial falsities. You became your own leader and you followed your inner voice, your inner gut instinct.
I mean, I wouldn't say that there's nothing wrong with going to church though. I'm not saying that. Like I don't think I'm too good for church or nothing like that, or I'm too smart for church because, it's just one of those things that I procrastinated on,
Got you. I guess when we start a family, we're like, all right, we got to put our kids in some kind of structure. Let's take them. But, I still have respect for everybody in the church. I didn't want to come off pure against it. However, what was my point? What were you just talking about 2 seconds ago? I had a point. My brain went on a tangent.
We're talking about destroy, rebuild.
Destroy, rebuild.
Is that where we were or we passed that? I can't remember.
Darn, church, leadership. See, my brain's in Aries, so I go off on tangents, and sometimes I forget where I left off.
Okay.
Hey, chat, help me out. Where did I leave off? Y'all are my second brain.
Yeah,
I need your help.
Where did we leave off, chat?
Where the heck? I had a point. Oh, the books. Okay, Basic Study Manual, The Science of Thought. Oh, that's why I asked you about church. The next book is called Factors by L. Ron Hubbard. And this will help you understand like the creation process of the entire universe. It's going to blow your mind. It says, in the beginning, the intention was to create intention. Meaning, if I'm the creator of the universe and I am one single point, I have to create a second point to create point A and point B. There's no time without 2 points. There's no circles without 2 points. There's no shape without 2 points. And that's the magic of beginning to understand the deeper occult knowledge. So just if you guys are like trying to go down the rabbit hole, study MG the Future and study L. Ron Hubbard's The Factors, Basic Study Manual, and The Science of Thought.
You ever read Science of Getting Rich?
You talk about that a lot. Who's it by?
Wallace D. Wattles.
What does he talk about? Like mindset or like how
it's essentially law of attraction. It's like I think it's a simpler version. It's a much shorter version than Think and Grow Rich. But you know, he just kind of breaks down like his theory, the theory of like the law of attraction, and you know, gets down to even like how like the thinking substance and particles and stuff like that.
Oh, like the metaphysics?
Yeah, but he kind of starts the book off by saying like, this is for people that like don't have time to go deep into the study of metaphysics to really learn how all this shit works. He's like, just take this as a pragmatical, I don't even know what the hell that word is, but I know you probably know what it is. And I think I know what it is. It's like, you know, take this as like a practical advice, like, he kind of tells you like, don't question it. Like if you want it to work, like don't question it and get caught up doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and creating your own thing. He's like, I'm telling you, this is the path to use the law of attraction to get rich, kind of thing. But I think it's a dope book though.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I know you're digging in your bag. I need this replay episode to have more views than your Ryan Leslie episode because I feel like Ryan Leslie is a GOAT. I got to shout out Ryan Leslie.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan, man.
That man was dropping ridiculous gems to the point where you could chop out like a minute of the video, gem. Next minute, boom. Like you had probably had 1,000 little mini clips.
Yeah.
The one
clip we did, shout out to Carrington for pulling the financial clip where he talked about, had like more views than the actual interview, which is crazy. Because that one probably hit a broader audience because it probably hit like moms and dads that are looking for financial advice or anyone, like not just, you know, music producers.
Scaling
broadening.
Example of scale.
No, for real though. No, I said broadening instead of narrowing.
Broadening. And I meant to mention this in the beginning. I forgot to mention this little caveat is I went on the whole scale conversation to say this. Look, guys, in the beginning, you're not going to know how to run ads. That's a good thing because you're not going to be indoctrinated to know all the ways you can make mistakes. In the beginning, all I knew was how to run ads and look at how much I was paid that day. I didn't have tracking. I didn't have follow-up emails. I didn't have all this crap that people tell you to have.
Do you have it now?
I ran people. Say it again.
Do you have it now?
I'm going to rerun it this way because in the beginning you think you're ignorant, right?
Okay.
Because the audience is 36 million, so you're like, I'm doing something wrong because it's 36 million people that I'm trying to talk to. No, like get that out of your brain. And here's why. I even sent people to a sales page / opt-in page, and I still made a crazy amount. I'm talking about I spent over $500,000 on Facebook ads alone. Wow. I'm not saying that to brag because I feel like I could have did it in a better way. We've already reached 7 figures. Cool. That's fine. All the financial stuff is cool. I'm talking about having the faith that Charlie talks about, having the faith that those producers talk about. I did not know what I was doing. I put in 50 cents. I got out $1. I just measured what I put in versus what I got out. I didn't measure all the in-between crap, the analytics crap. And my point is that start with a broad audience sometimes that's interest-based. Try to talk to a lot of people. Like you just don't know who's going to find value in what you have to say. So I just don't want people to play small, like play big right away and just keep going, keep having that faith. I remember at one point I was putting $2,000 a day in ads. Now, was that dumb? Maybe, but I didn't understand scaling and all this. Now, for the more advanced people in the room, the 10%.
Yeah.
Have you ever run into this problem? Like you've put your money into ads and all these things. Then you realize you don't have the back end situated, like the customer support, whatever
the email follow-up series and all that stuff. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
And that's when scaling becomes a problem. It's because you can't take in what you're putting out.
Yeah, you can't even handle it. You can't handle the growth.
Yeah, you can't handle the growth. You could put out $2,000 a day in ads, but you don't have $2,000 a day of receptivity.
That's especially if you got like a physical product too. That's one thing that's amazing about producers that we deal with digital products, and anyone that I talk to like on just like a marketing level and they do physical and you know, they find out that, you know, we do digital, like, oh my God, I wish I had a digital product. Like that shit is, they're like, you know, they're like, it's so easy. It's so like, you know, but it's really not, you know, cause it's really comes down more to the marketing and brand building versus like a product. You know, you can have like a physical product you could do really well with like what are they called, commodities and shit like that.
Well, yeah. Okay, let's use your brand as an example. When you did this launch for your merch, I'm like, it is harder to get Producer Grind merch than Bape. Like,
We
it's
keep
hard.
it. Yeah, we keep it exclusive.
And you got better designs than like 99% of every clothing company. So it's not only that you have the best merch, you have the best clothing, period. Like, I was like, this is really well done. Like, what the heck?
What'd you think of our turnaround time, our shipping times and stuff?
Oh, it was normal. I mean, there wasn't any, I wasn't even thinking about, hey, when's it coming? Put it that way.
Okay.
I was excited. Like, I bought everything. I bought at least one of everything.
No, you
from the
really
mugs.
did, and I appreciate that for real, for real.
And I'm not even saying that to brag to the chat. I'm saying that because I realized last year, or when did you launch before? Was it last year?
I think I think that was our first drop of the year, the one we did. Yeah, it was like December was our last drop.
Mm-hmm. And whenever the one before the one I got all this stuff was in, I slept on it. You were like, hey guys, the merch is available. And it was like 12 p.m. And then you were live streaming or something. And I waited and I put it in the cart and I was like, I'll get it when I get back home. 7 p.m. I come back home, sold out, sold out, sold out. I was like, freak. And so I had to wait a whole year to get this. So like, that's how much, like, it's how much anticipation, but how much rarity this stuff has.
Yeah, man, that last drop, talking about reaching that scaling point, like that tipping point too, because that the last drop we just did, which was in June, the one that you said you got one of everything. That was, we really reached a point where it's like, yo, we really maxed out. Like I pretty much had to take off a week of my life to be a part of processing these orders, because I don't have because we do this merch every once in a while, so I don't have that infrastructure in place. I don't have a fulfillment center. You know what I mean? It's just me, my girl primarily, and I had actually hired a couple like helping hands for that one, because it was like, yo, it's unmanageable. This is, it took us like literally a whole week, and I was neglecting every other part of my business that I'm supposed to tend to day day just to do this, and it was crazy. It was crazy, but I mean, it was a blessing though. Huh?
Kaylin?
Yeah, Kaylin. Yeah.
Kaylin, shout out to Kaylin. She's super supportive. Like I was like, Dylan, I'm so happy for you guys, because
you seen she had the camera and everything in Nashville.
Yeah, I was like, I wish I had a woman who could be that supportive to not only travel with you to Nashville, but then be a part of what you're doing to contribute to your vision, and then on top of that, have the personality to like let you lead. Like that is super rare. So shout out to her, because that's critical in your success as like a man. You need that kind of motivation and support to lift you up so you can do what you got to do. And I didn't realize you guys took a whole week off. The fact that you guys work together for one, but you're right. When you guys don't have fulfillment centers, what are you going to do? Now you have to process everything by hand, print out the labels, package. It takes time.
Fulfillment centers, they tax though. Like if they're doing your merch, like you're basically they're doing a merch drop, and you get to eat a little bit off of it. Essentially, that's why I'm I don't know, from the ones I've talked to and the percentages they want. I'm like, bro, I'll do this shit myself. Like, you know what I mean? And we'll take these profits, and fuck it. If I got to take a week off, I got to take a week off. You know what I mean? Versus giving somebody like 60, 70%. It's just crazy.
Well, I didn't know that, because I have somebody researching like screen printing and fulfillment houses.
Yeah.
And the one thing I learned is that they want like a monthly deliverable. Like you have to have 100 pieces a month, or like 5, because they have a warehouse and all this type of stuff.
It's got to be worth their time.
Warehouse fees. Huh?
It's got to be worth their time.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is it? So it's way more complicated than people see. So the fact that you figured that out and made the sales page for all this stuff, that's a heavy task. Just so people understand, like the shipping alone, the integrations, web development, it's a different beast.
Shout out to Shopify though. I fuck with Shopify.
Yeah, I'm like, look, how do you guys get your website so clean? I need whoever helps you with your website to clean up my trashy old website at busyworksbeats.com. If you have any referrals out there, website people,
what do you use? Because I guess we can use this to get into like the funnel conversation, because I know obviously you were there. You're part of Making Money. You were there at the Nashville event, and so I know at least that up until that point you were a fan of funnels. Are you still using funnels? I noticed a lot of your stuff is kind of set up like a funnel, but it's not like that, like straight Russell Brunson, Gabe like funnel kind of thing, like where it's like, I can clearly see that this is ClickFunnels.
Mm-hmm. Good question. I want to preface this by mentioning my mentors. Okay, can I do that real quick?
Of course, yeah.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. We about to get into some gems. So I need you guys to drop a gem emoji, and then later when we get into the spice emoji,
do the gem
emoji.
Hit
that spice. Oh, you got the sound effects?
Yeah, you did.
I remember I was playing Spyro and like listening to your podcast, and that gem came. It was so funny because it matched perfectly
Yeah,
up.
it is the Spyro sound. It is the Spyro sound.
Oh, that's Spyro. Okay, that is dope.
Yeah. I was on YouTube looking up like gem sound effects, and that one popped up. I'm like, oh shit, that's nostalgic right there. Throw that in. Throw that on the stream deck.
That is hilarious.
Okay, I see the spike. I see the gem emojis. I see the gem emoji. Okay, stream deck gang. Yes,
Stream
sir.
Deck gang. Shout out to Dylan for putting me on. Really quick, I want to mention my mentors because this leads to my philosophy about how I approach business. So Ron D. Silvestro helped me with recording and mixing mastery. Ken Lewis helped me with mixing. AJ Amon Jackson helped me with mixing and studio setup. Recently, actually, Realistic helped me with mixing studio setup. Frank Kern is my marketing mentor who taught me.
Damn,
who taught me
you know
and
Frank Kern
Steve
personally? He's a GOAT right there.
Yeah, I moved to San Diego just to be a part of his program.
Wow.
Like that's how like I literally learned everything from this man, and I only had 6 words for him. Thank you. You saved my life. 6 words. He changed my life. And all I had was 6 words. I didn't say, hey Frank, how do I do Facebook ads and retarget? Hey Frank, how do I do it? I listened to everything he had to say. I did not ask the man a word. Made over 7 figures from his stuff alone.
Wow.
And then said 6 words to him. So everybody in the chat, if you're constantly bugging Dylan, like Dylan, how did you go from nothing to something? Dylan, what was the best YouTube strategy? Dylan, just listen to what Dylan has to say and do it. Stop asking these questions. Dylan's giving you a guideline, do it, and then you won't have those questions because when you do it, it's going to open that awareness. So that was a little side caveat. Sorry. Gabe from MIDI Money helped me out with the funnel thinking. AD, Anno Domini, Billy Big Shot Beats. Oh my gosh, a genius at Facebook. Goodness. Triz a Flock of Flame, if he's in here. I don't know if Triz is in here, but he's another brother that I talked about marketing and advertising. Diego Ab put me in rooms where I'm talking about producers with 5 billion streams in one room. I think 10 billion streams plus in one room. Talking about Swish, who produced for Post Malone. You got to have Swish on here at some point. Who produced for Post Malone, YG, all the poppin' rappers. We had Diego Ab, who produced for Ray Shremmerd. All the dope rappers, like literally. We had Bricks, who produced for Drake, Young Thug, all of them. Nas Moore, who's on Murder Gang. Shout out to the Murder Gang. Nas Moore, who produced for a lot of folks that I don't even know. I think the Migos and all those type of folks. Who else was in that room? Oh, Go Grizz. Did you have Go Grizz on?
Nah, we had it, but I think he had to reschedule last minute, like a month or 2 ago. But
really?
Yeah, so we're gonna get him on though. We're gonna get him on, maybe on the in-person podcast. I don't know.
Go Grizz is hilarious. Like I can see why this man is in so many rooms. Like his personality, his humor, and his hilarity is so funny that like he could just be good at making 808s, and he's gonna get into every single room around the world. It doesn't matter. Like that's the power of his personality. And I want to give people a little bit of hope because they think they have to be masters at every little thing about production. Not really. But again, a guy who's worked with crazy people. So I was around all these people. Diego put me in the rooms with Rico Love, multi-Grammy winning songwriter. Super Dupes, who produced for Rihanna. I got to be around all these people because of one man, Diego F. So I got to shout him out. Really quick, Superstar O. Definitely motivates me. Yo, did you? Okay, let me ask you this, chat and Dylan. Did you have somebody who like you modeled after to build your studio or like your business?
I mean, honestly, like O's Industry Kits, like that was definitely a big motivator, for sure. I would have to say, yeah. Maybe, probably even the main, like to be honest, to give O his credit. And I've even told him this, I'm like, bro, like you're the GOAT, like you're the OG of this shit of like, you know, having like big kit stores and you know, just like that producer brand, you know what I mean? Because he's got people so tapped into his brand, just as him as a person, you know, his personal brand.
And think about it, like I got off the phone with him maybe a week ago. He had me so motivated that I almost went and bought some like $10,000 speakers just because he was like barefoot.
With the barefoot? Yeah, I was gonna say the barefoot.
He was like barefoot. Yo, I'm telling you, Timbaland uses them. Yo, Superstar O is just naturally a motivator. And like I didn't realize it, but I said, yo, oh, like everything in my studio I bought because you had it. Like this Chord Chronos, I bought it because you had it. This Access Virus TI synth, I bought it because you had it. The Roland Integra 7, like that's such a random piece. I bought it because he had it. Like everything in here, for the most part, I got because Superstar O bought it. And the Apollo interface. So I gotta owe all my energy to O because like I didn't realize it, but subconsciously. Sorry?
No, I said, yeah, shout out to O.
Yeah, subconsciously, he was the model that I was using to understand what the next level was. And lastly, Sound Oracle is my sound design / like business mentorship, respect level relationship mentor. Oh, wow. I realized I went on a tangent. You were asking me about funnels, and I said all that to say, like, from all those people, that's how I gathered my perspective on funnels. So currently, I'm transitioning my site. I used to use WordPress with WooCommerce. Then I realized WooCommerce is trash. Then I move over to Shopify. And then I realized Shopify has a separate domain name for my main website. So there was always this conflict of like the redirecting traffic, which I still have the issue, because then I moved from Shopify and I realized you get a greater return on ClickFunnels, which is very true. And the opt-in rates are way higher. The page loading speed is way faster. The revenue you make is way higher. The upsells, the bumps, the OTOs, you do a bunch of marketing stuff. That's why I picked ClickFunnels, and it does really well. So currently I'm in the position of going from WooCommerce to Shopify, which is good for advertising.
I did the WooCommerce to Shopify, yeah. Because because WooCommerce, you can really hit a ceiling. Like once you start getting more traffic and more sales, like we did like this launch where it was like $1 kit, and like our website crashed, and I was like, all right, yeah, time to move away from WooCommerce. And I had met Steven from Cymatics around this time, and he was telling me like, bro, Shopify, look into Shopify. I'm telling you, it's going to be worth the migration. And at first I was scared of the migration, but that was one of the best decisions. But I'm at a point too where I'm like, yo, I love Shopify, but I'm also like looking at ClickFunnels too. Like, I guess where my dilemma is I want to use it, but I feel like in my brain, I kind of need to be like on one or the other. Like I don't know, maybe I'm probably overthinking it. It's probably stupid, but I'm kind of like just at that point where I'm like, it just feels cleaner, more organized if I'm just working on one platform.
You're right. Like, do you know how hard? Okay, there's benefits and trade-offs for everything. I was just about to get in this spice. What's up, Larry O? How to forget Larry O?
Shout out to Larry O. Big Shots in here too. Shout out to Big Shots.
There we go. Gang. The main thing is just ease of use, because we all think the grass is greener on the other side. We think when we're at WooCommerce, we think, okay, Shopify's better, which it probably is.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'll give them that for sure.
Yeah, but we don't realize like there's limitations and things for that. Then we move from Shopify over to ClickFunnels, but we don't realize ClickFunnels doesn't have all the little things that Shopify has, like the change in the size of the shirts, the variable.
I think they have that now, though. I think they do have that now, but it's still like, because you still got to be like a one product store versus like a browse around and look at different categories like you can in Shopify.
Right. Like this is a little, behind the scenes, but I'm about to release the next update to my software. And I'm like, I want to sell the software plus the expansion packs. In order to do this, I have to create one page for the software, then another page for the expansions. But like, what if people already bought the software and only want the expansions? Now I have to send them to a whole different page. It's so convoluted for no reason.
But it actually works though. But it actually is better, as you say, because like it's more direct, and it just you can really read the stats and the conversions a little bit better though. So like I always say, man, I envy people that just have one, like the same people that say that they do physical products, they envy digital products. I envy the people that just have one product, like for instance, Gabe and AD with their course. You know what I mean? Like just they can focus on one product, one sales page, one funnel, versus like we got all these kits and we're doing all this different stuff. And I'm kind of always just like, damn, like. But like you said, grass is always greener on the other side. It's always what you're not doing seems to be the better thing to do.
Right. Yeah, I've seen. I don't know if. Yeah, I think Wishmaster made this point in the MIDI Money Facebook group. He showed where in 15 days he made $100,000 using one funnel.
Wow.
And this is from the man who produced for "I'm on a Boat."
Right. I'm on a boat. Yeah, we had him on the show. The chat's definitely familiar. Shout out to Wish.
Very low key, but he's a very he was here back in SoundClick days. So like this is the possibility with ClickFunnels. But the thing is, okay, let's say we do find that one product, Dylan. What happens when that product kind of slowly peters out and the interest isn't as high? Now we move to the next product and it doesn't perform as well as the one before. Now we're scrambling to figure out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So your method, I think, is really good. Try a lot of stuff, see what works, then maybe scale that on ClickFunnels and take people directly to that, and then scale that up individually. So kind of cast a broad net, see what fish are the biggest, and then chop that fish up and eat it.
So have you, like, I know you're big, like, you're big, and like when we think of you, we think of tutorials and producer products. Do you do any producer to artist type of business? Do you sell beats? Do you produce EPs? Do you sell promo to artists? Do you do anything like that?
Good question. Good question. So, firstly, I will say, think of it this way. I know I'm a think of this way guy. Think of it this way. But there were a lot of artists who stopped buying beats because they couldn't customize the beats into all these things. So they actually became producers, and they used FL Studio. And so getting around your question, I used to have something called the Ultimate Producer Bundle. I still have it. And in the bundle, not only did it come with the FL Studio templates, where if they are an artist and want to tweak something, they can go in and move stuff around, or they can have the finished beat, or they can have the sound files and all this if they really want to become a producer. So I was selling to artists, but it wasn't in the traditional, I'm only going to give you a beat.
Did you ever do that?
And say it again?
Did you ever just sell beats, like have a SoundClick or BeatStars or something like that?
No, I guess my answer to you is that I'm thinking beyond the one commodity. And this is what Gabe teaches in AD. So I'm not just offering people the beat. I'm offering the beat, the FL Studio template, the sounds. It's a bigger package. And I disguised it as a bigger package, but I was really selling beats and selling to artists at the same time. Let me ask you, Dylan, real quick. McDonald's. You familiar? Travis Scott collab?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's lit. Cactus Jack. What's it called? The Cactus Burger or whatever?
Is it the Cactus Meal or the Cactus Burger? I can't remember.
All I know is you go up, you pull up in the drive-thru, you say, Cactus Jack sent me.
That's all you got to say. Oh, they don't even have it on the menu?
I don't know. I haven't been to McDonald's, but
Okay.
Shout out to Cactus. Shout out to Travis. What I'm getting to is a deeper concept, and I want you to really think about this. Does McDonald's only sell French fries?
No.
Did they only sell one French fry? Like literally one French fry?
No.
They bundle French fries into a little cup, right?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah. It's a bundle. It's
one thing,
a
right?
fry bundle. Yeah.
Fry bundle. Okay, so they sell fry bundles, we'll call it. Now, when you go to McDonald's, do they sell meals where you can get the fry bundle, the burger bundle with the lettuce, everything stacked up?
And
They
the
sell
drink.
meals, right?
And the drink. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
the drink. Now, do they only have one size at McDonald's?
No, and they got multiple drinks.
Shoot, they got small, the baby cup, the super value size. They got like every size you could think of. Small, medium, large, XL. So I want people to think, okay, not only am I not selling one thing, I'm selling a bundle of things. Not only am I selling one approach to something, but you can buy the small version, the medium version, the large version, the XL version. That's called price contrast. It's a psychological mechanism. And bundling is a psychological mechanism. Dylan, business is war, right?
Business is war.
Yeah, like it's like warfare, economic warfare.
Explain.
What I mean is that if a man's going to battle, does he go alone against the Sparta army or does he go with his squad?
Bring the gang.
You bring the squad, you bring the gang with you. And the same thing goes with what you're selling. If you want to have a more powerful unit that works in the economic warfare of the territorial plane that we work in called business, you have to come with something that's bundled as an army, a squad, not a single warrior. A single warrior would be outrun every single time by somebody with a bundle, just off of perception. If you saw 10 guys coming down the street with baseball bats like Negan from The Walking Dead, you ever see that show?
I know The Walking Dead, but I don't know like character. And I never really watched it, to be honest. I don't think I ever watched it.
Okay, well, there's this scary guy. He's like a biker with like a bat that has barbed wire wrapped around the bat.
Okay, I can picture that. Yeah.
And he would just smash people's heads with this barbed wire bat. So you saw 10 of those guys walking down the street. It's only you, no weapons. Would you run or would you go try and beat them up?
You said 10 of them and it's only you?
Yeah.
Do I got a strap?
No
No. All right, yeah, I'm out of there. Oh, you said no weapons, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that you couldn't go against them and win. It's that perception. They could have just been walking right by you. They probably weren't even after you. Perception of the group things creates more value. And that always wins the bundle. So I'm getting to a greater point. So we have the fries sold as a bundle. You have the meals, small, medium, large, XL. Now, does McDonald's only sell Happy Meals? And do they only sell McChickens?
No, they don't.
They also sell real estate. They sell business opportunity franchises.
Damn.
They sell, what else does McDonald's sell? Advertising. They don't only sell to one audience, one specific thing. They sell to everybody.
Right. They're business to business, business to consumer. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the metaphor that I'm trying to get at is that we could sell to artists and producers at the same exact time without jeopardizing our business.
I agree with that for sure.
And that's what I was doing. And I guess people, they were so linear in thinking that they can only sell one French fry to one customer at a time. I said, what about the bundles? What about the McChicken meals? What about selling franchises? That's how I was thinking. And that's how I approached the beat selling game. So I was selling beats indirectly through the bundling. And I think Gabe teaches this, AD teaches that. So that's my perspective with everything. So technically, yeah, I was ranking for type beats. I was selling stuff to a lot of artists, like famous artists. I don't know if, I'm allowed to mention his name because he's a customer. So I guess there's some kind of client barrier, but there's famous artists that would buy this stuff, like famous rappers from the West Coast. I'll just leave it at that. Famous Billboard charting artists that are like, hey, when's the next template coming out? Because I just need to have the structure and the sound. I don't need all this. But people don't understand that. So they're always like, Game, what's your placement? You ever work with Travis Scott? It's like, I've worked with a $5 billion company worth more than Travis Scott, worth more than Big Sean, more than like Future combined. That's not what I chase. Okay, Dylan, let me ask you a question. What is a Drake placement to Drake? What's his version of a placement? Like if Drake's the pinnacle of placements, what is that to Drake himself?
What is his pinnacle? I don't know.
He deals with brands.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Adidas, Nike, Sprite, you name it. I said, why am I chasing Drake if Drake is chasing Adidas and Sprite? Why don't I go directly to Sprite and Adidas? Cut out the middleman called Drake and go directly to them. And that's the mentality I have. That's the placement game that I have. I've worked with $1 billion company valuated at $5 billion called Razer. I've worked with ImageLine, the people who made FL Studio. Arturia, a huge top company. Universal Audio had me on their stage multiple years. I've worked with them multiple. I have a lot of their cool stuff. I've worked with, who else is cool? Sweetwater, $600 million company. So
have you made more money off of that kind of stuff than you have? Because you mentioned doing 7 figures in funnels and products. So what has been more profitable for you?
I see those as extra arms. I would never put my whole business into somebody else's hands. No. So I've made more of my core business.
So why cut out the placements? Because you mentioned you're like, why don't worry about the placements? Why wouldn't that just be another arm?
Yeah, it is another arm. I don't want to discredit that.
Okay.
I guess my point is that that's their, okay. So with placements, let's rewind a little bit. Let's be Drake. He's the artist. He's the star. His business is what he creates. He's not chasing anybody to get extra arms of anything. So whatever he makes is his core income.
Okay.
So I'm looking at myself like I'm Drake. What I create is my core income. All that extra arm stuff is just extra. So I don't know if that's, creating the best parallel, but my core business is not the placement game. Does that make sense? So my whole income is not placements.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I built up a foundation through distribution and influence to have my own control at all times. I never have to rely on another man, ever, except God himself and my audience, who I serve. I don't serve anybody else. And what I'm trying to show, and we can get into the spice, because I want to talk about the producer union. I know Sonny Digital got rubbed the wrong way when I made a tweet. And I want to preface it by saying I love Sonny Digital. Like his song, tell me, chat, if you know the song. Count the mother band, count the bands. Yeah. I'ma do the money dance. I'ma do the money dance. You ever hear that song?
Of course.
That he made? That lifted me out of a depression that I was in from a breakup. Like that song, he was so happy in the music video. Like it made me happy and it got me out of a deep depression. So like I have a deep respect for Sonny Digital. And that showed me the power of music. Just that one song showed me the power of music. I was like, this is the power of music. So I would never go against somebody who changed my life. What I was getting at, because I made a comment. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, Dylan, because do you even have Instagram anymore? A personal page?
Nah, I got rid of it.
Are you just off the grid now?
Yeah, I just focus on. I just focus on producer guy. Yeah.
He's like, I got Kaylin, I got the beach, Florida, wherever you guys are now. Like, why even worry about the internet? Forget it. That's the man at peace. That's what I want, is like peace. I don't want to have to be distracted by the world. But I mentioned something about the producer union, and I mentioned something about Splice. Are you a fan of Splice?
Yeah, they're dope.
I think they're dope. I mean, the concept's cool. My only question for Splice was, hey, I put this out in a tweet. Hey, who's the owner of Splice? Nobody had an answer. Do you know the owner of Splice?
Mm-mm.
You don't even know his name. And not that we can't look it up and go to Google and Wikipedia to look it up. My point is that Dylan.
Chat, help us out. Who is the owner of Splice? But go ahead.
Oh no, we found that on Twitter. He responded, one of the tech owners.
Okay.
But my point is that why do we give the magic away, Dylan? Why do we have our own core businesses, but then go chase placements and give all our magic to Sony and all our magic to Universal and all our magic to Warner? Why do we build up our own producer grind kits, and then give them away to Splice so that Splice can build up a multi-million-dollar business? Why do we give our influence and our goodwill to these companies? That was my main question. I was not attacking Sony. I was trying to say that when you go to Splice, let me ask you this.
Okay, now go ahead.
When you go to Splice, the last kits you downloaded, can you remember which kits you downloaded?
Some lo-fi stuff. By
who? By who?
You got me there. I don't know. I'm sure that's what you were going for. Because you're trying to say, like, we think of Splice kits, we don't think of the individual producer of the kit. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're getting at?
Oh, no, I was saying it the other way around. We think of, when I go to Splice, I'm like, yo, I want the Sunny kit. Okay. Like, I want the Lex Luger kit. I want the Southside kit. I want the Murder kit. I want the Wonder Girl kit. The Ronnie J kit. What's his name? Scott Storch kit.
Yeah, which I think on the bigger name guys, that's easy. But for the littler guys, or maybe they're not even little, but I just never heard of them. I'm just like, oh yeah, that one lo-fi Splice kit, that one blah blah blah, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you use Splice a lot deeper than I do. When I go to Splice, the only kits I'm downloading from the charts is the people I know. Name ones. And my point is that would we go to Splice if the big people of Splice were not a part of Splice?
I mean, it's hard to say, you know. I don't know.
Right.
That's definitely a big part of their business model, though, for sure.
Right. And it's like, it goes back to that question. Who's the owner of Splice? If the owner isn't Southside, if it isn't Sony Digital, if it isn't Lex Luger, Murder Beats, and all these people, they're using them as avatars, they're called, in the funnel business. The people who can actually relate to the audience.
Okay, but can't you use that same analogy for movie producers and movie makers? They're just using the actors. The actors don't own the movie. It's not like, you know.
Mm-hmm. But look how twisted Hollywood is. Look at the owners, Harvey Weinstein. Like, let me, this is a really deep story. And I usually don't like to spill the tea like this, but I went to a business conference out in LA, and one of the girls in the audience broke down in tears about how she was treated by that guy in the film industry.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the opportunities that these guys create. If they're not respected by the community, why are we feeding them millions?
Well, let's hope they're not all like that. Let's hope that was one bad apple that, you know, made it look. I'm sure there's movie producers out there that aren't on some crazy shit like that. There's got to be some straight, some cool ones out there.
There may be, but Dylan, let me tell you this real story.
It's crazy.
A guy, multimillionaire, real estate, all over the place. Also an executive movie producer. He literally told the people in the crowd, he told the women, he said, you know what? Use your sexuality to get business deals done. He's like, when you're at the bar, you know, sleep with the guy and get a business deal done. I don't see the problem. Wow. He was pushing that on a high level. And then on top of that, he produces movies only to get around women. You have to understand what the movie industry was back in the 90s. It literally was millionaires from like oil, from whatever the other industry was, and they just wanted to sleep with the youngest girls in the business, the hottest girls in the business. So they got into the movie business to pick the actresses that they wanted because they wanted to sleep with them. That's where the word casting couch came from. That's what it means.
POV casting couch.
That's what it means, is they would literally pick the girls they wanted to sleep with, force them to sleep with them to get the role. That's the sickness of Hollywood, and it exists. Damn. And now the whole Me Too movement.
So it's almost like a less direct porn industry model, if you think about it.
Yeah, indeed, and it's very sick. So I guess my point is that they can have the power to make the movies, like you mentioned, but it doesn't mean that we should be giving them the power. Like, for example, going back to Splice, I'm not saying that they're any of the names I mentioned before, because that'd be crazy to think about it that way. My point, Dylan, is that we don't know the owners who own this multi-million-dollar business, who's extracting from the producer community, but they've never contributed to the music producer community.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like the way that it was just told, I think it's real convenient to like. And I don't know Splice, I don't know that, but I would never like. Okay, how would I try to say this? Like, just because we don't know the owner of Splice, then we brought up a story about the entertainment guy doing that. Like now, I feel like we're kind of like making it seem like, oh, this Splice is this evil demon sitting in his desk, and that we've kind of demonized him now, and I don't even know who he is. Maybe he is that demon. But I guess I'm just like, I guess I should let you get to the point.
You're right. And you know what? I think I came off. Remember earlier I said how Trump became president and how Hitler became the leader? They use the common enemy to galvanize people. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. I'm glad you pointed that out because you understand the psychology behind this. What I'm getting at is that why doesn't Sonny own a Splice? Why doesn't Murda Beats own the Splice if they're pulling all the people to the platform?
Well, you got to ask them. They could do it. They could. Murda? Any of these guys, they could. Anyone can right now make a website and hire a staff and do it. But the people that do it are the ones that win. The people that don't are the people that don't. So right. I guess we could say like, well, why don't we do that? But then it's like, okay, well, we don't own it because we don't own it, and we didn't do it.
Right.
But there are plenty of guys that go direct to consumer. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of producers, like Bricks is really good at going direct to consumer, especially as of lately.
Mm-hmm. And for example, let's say everybody put their kids on your site instead of a Splice. You're actually for the community. Like you might not be the front guy, but I know your intentions are to build producers up, to change their lives, to get them into elevated statuses. Is that really the agenda of a tech company funded out of Silicon Valley that just got millions and millions of dollars to build a platform because they saw a need in the market and wanted to milk the market? They don't have the same intentions. And even if, Murda and all them are too busy to run the website, it's like, okay, but Dylan could own a Splice. And Dylan's whole focus is being the CEO to make the whole machine operate. You might not be the front guy, like your interviews, for example. That's kind of how your business is. You're leveraging somebody else's goodwill. But the difference is you're actually of the community. You're trying to protect the community. You're not just like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I think that's my greater point.
Okay.
Is because the whole tech partner was like, yeah, I'd like to think that I'm of the producer community. Back in the 90s, I used to produce house music. I'm like, when have you made an interview or a tutorial about how to make your kick slap? When have you ever stepped in front of the community to speak? Never. I've never seen this man anywhere in the producer community. And he's talking about how he contributed to the producer community. No, I've seen Dylan thousands of times in a month span contribute more in a month span than this man who's running a multi-million-dollar business, talking about how he's helping the community. That was my issue. And, I'm not here to pick sides. I just want people to think about the bigger picture. Dylan, have you heard stories recently about how people are struggling with the industry stuff, like whether it's ASCAP not paying them, whether it's, Sony, WMG, UMG? Have you heard stories like that?
Yeah, producers like labels not paying for, advances and not paying royalties and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you, did you keep up with the whole Kanye rant on Twitter?
Well, is this the recent one?
Yeah, guys in the chat, did you guys see where Kanye was like, you know what? I'm fed up with these, music groups and these labels. He's like, look, we need to create a union. Basically, Kanye, the pinnacle, the god of hip hop music that we all worship, who's worth now $1 billion because him and Kim K put it together and made it happen. The god of it all. The leader of it all, let's say, let's use the word God in a different sense. The leader of it all said to everybody below him, look, this is nonsense. We need to own this. The guy at the top said it, and it's not my mission because there's a whole thing. People are like, oh, you just want to talk black owned because Black Lives Matter and all this type of stuff. It's not about black owned. It's about, are you really of the community? Dylan's a white guy from Rochester, New York. He has more producer blood in him than like people I've been in the studio with. It's not a skin color. It's about a nation of the commonalities. That's what I want to lift up. And that's the infrastructure that I hope we can build on our own. Dylan, again, like literally, I want you to really like sink this in for a second. I want to honor you because you've created the MTV for the producer community. Like we literally are like, yo, he got on producer grind. That's better than having your music video on MTV.
That's how I read
the feeling of it. You know?
No, I trust me. I definitely get like the community owned stuff like that, and I'm just trying to pry apart things just for good conversation and for a good interview. I don't want people to think in the chat like I'm secretly signed to Splice and I'm trying to defend them. Like I don't know anything about their business model or their whoever has stake in that company or whatever. But one thing I will say about that last though is it enough providing? Is the value okay? So even if they may not be doing tutorials and be for the community, is it enough for them to provide kits, really good kits at a discounted rate, a monthly rate to where everyone can tap in? Do you need to do more than that? Or is the people that are happy downloading these kits and like, yo, I made this fire beat using these kits that I got for a really good price. Does it need to be deeper than that?
I need the chat to hit me with the spice emojis because I'm about to unleash some internal flames on everybody.
Let me hit the button.
Hit us with the spice emoji or whatever. What's that little bell pepper called? The little.
Shit. Say it again. Oh, a little pepper. I don't know.
Pepper, a little red pepper.
Yeah, a little red pepper emoji.
Because you gotta give me time to get this out. I'll be a little bit long-winded, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. Okay. So you said, isn't it the same? Now I want to ask you, Dylan. Have you ever heard of a concept called the economic hitman?
No.
I'll keep the story short because it's a very long, drawn-out story. What happens is America will go to a struggling country like Haiti and be like, hey, we want to help Haiti out. We're going to give out rice for free under our nonprofit company. So they go to Haiti, they set up their shop, they give out rice. But what happens to the guys in Haiti who were selling rice? They get wiped out of business because America came by and gave it away for free. And now once all the rice sellers are gone in Haiti, guess who set up actual business in Haiti? The American investors who came in to undercut everybody in the market, kill them off, and then set up their own business. This is called the economic hitman. This is why I had an issue with Stephen from Cymatics. Now, I want to preface it by saying I used to like Stephen. We were on good terms, but he did something behind the scenes that a lot of people don't understand. I'll be short because this is spicy, but I introduced Stephen had an issue with getting into the hip hop community. And again, he gives a lot of good advice. I don't want to ever bash the man. He's a cool guy. I mean, I thought he was a cool guy. So he comes in and it's like, hey, I want to get into the hip hop community. I was like, you know what? I can introduce you to Sound Oracle. Now, Sound Oracle is the producer of producers. He's sound design for Timbaland. He knows everybody. Everybody respects Sound Oracle. When you say Sound Oracle and you don't get into the room, there's a problem because Sound Oracle knows everybody. He's respected by everybody. So I said, let me introduce you to my friend Sound Oracle, my mentor Sound Oracle. Treat him well. Now, what happens after this? They do the Hearts pack, the little charity pack, which is cool. Cool. That was a cool move. Great. Now, after that, mysteriously, without Sound Oracle's permission, Cymatics puts out a free kit called Oracle. And I said, was Sound Oracle behind this? Now, I don't want to give out the details about the frustration behind the scenes, but there was frustration behind the scenes, okay? Because it's not a coincidence. You go from the Hearts pack with Sound Oracle in it to now another pack like a week later called Oracle. What's happening that, for the people who don't understand what I'm saying, it's called indirect use of likeness. They're using the likeness of Sound Oracle because he was on their Hearts pack, but without his permission, used his kind of pseudo likeness for this pack called Oracle. Now, Sound Oracle has a podcast called the Unquantized Podcast every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. During his podcast, he says nothing but gems all the time. Before it became a thing on your show,
yeah, some people have said that we stole that, and I love Sound Oracle. Shout out to Sound Oracle. And if I stole it, like if I adopt things that I like that other people are doing, I say it. You know what I mean? Maybe it was like a subliminal thing that I noticed it on Sound Oracles. I started saying it. But it definitely was like it wasn't an intentional like, oh, I'm gonna adopt that, I'm gonna start using that. And like I said, when I do things like that, you guys know I always give credit where credit is due. So that was confusing to me when I think it was like in a comment or whatever, someone had said something like that. But back to your story.
That's interesting. But yeah, I mean that's how influential he is, right? He just taps into our subconscious, and we're doing what he does. And now we're saying gems, we're saying facts, putting a little facts emoji in the chat because that's who he is.
Oh, he started that too? Oh, shit. He's a GOAT then.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were in Atlanta, so maybe it's an Atlanta thing to it at one point. But my point is that they go from the Hearts pack with Sound Oracle, who's actually in it and contributed, to another pack that Sound Oracle did not approve of called Oracle. And then another paid pack on top of this called Gems. What are the odds that Oracle and Gems would be released by this company right after a Hearts pack? Now, when we confronted them about it, they said, "Oh, dude, people are just hating, man." Really? Or was it intentional?
Damn,
because it seems very intentional.
Was this? I missed this whole thing. Was this like a public thing where you guys were going back and forth about it?
I said it in a couple other live streams, but I'm saying this to say that you guys don't understand. Like, there's really two factions. And I don't mean to be on your show causing dissonance between you and Steven, because I like Steven. I actually like everybody at Cymatics. We just had an issue with Steven specifically. I don't know Drew. I never met him. I like Jake. He's fun and awesome. There's an actual marketing genius on their team called Jordan. He does all the marketing. Anyway, besides the whole team, like I
copy a lot of stuff Jordan does. And shout out to Jordan. But Steven's cool too, man. That's the only person I ever met too. But Steven, man, he dropped a lot of gems on me. Just little things, little nuances we've changed about, like, just the way our website functions and little upsells and things like that. So definitely big shout out to Steven.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, this is my perspective. This is not Dylan's perspective. Like they said on the show, the opinions of the commercial, not of the network.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Viewer discretion. So I want to share this story because people just don't understand the fight that I'm doing behind the scenes to protect the community. Okay? Because you run into people like that in scenarios like that. Again, as a quick recap, you have the free Hearts pack. Then you have using Oracle's likeness indirectly with the Oracle pack, which was free. Then you have the paid pack called Gems, which was shaved off like 50% off or whatever. What I'm trying to say is, if you apply the economic hitman theory to what was happening, they're doing the Hearts pack to gather everybody's audience, which is fine. Then they're targeting the audience with a free pack called Oracle, which undercuts everything Oracle's ever done because it's free. They're gathering Sound Oracle's audience. Okay. Then they do a paid pack, which is actually undercutting still in price from the Sound Oracle community, called Gems. What they're doing is using his likeness to take his customers from him. And I see that as a business perspective. And when they try to kind of beat around the bush like it wasn't the intention, I really asked them, what's your business model? And it looks like it's acquisition through those techniques to grow. So, maybe it takes a higher level brain to understand what I just said. But you got to be careful, because remember you asked about the stake in Splice?
Yeah.
Let's say somebody did have a 10% stake in Splice or 50% stake. Why isn't it 100% if we created everything for Splice?
Say that again.
What I'm getting at is Murda built up Splice. Sunny built up Splice. Southside, Wonder Girl. Why don't they have the majority share of Splice if they brought the majority of Splice's whole business to Splice? Because you mentioned about stakeholding. Yeah,
but I guess did they negotiate that? Did they, you know what I mean? Like, it's, this capitalism shit, this business running shit, is real deep. And I think it's real easy to pick stuff like that off the surface. But like I said, it goes back to, why didn't they all team up and start their own Splice where they, own the share? Like, you know what I mean? Why fucking Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook, but the entire world is using it? Why didn't all 8 billion of us come together and have a meeting? We're like, you know what? We're going to start a social media website, but we give him that credit because this is the dude that actually fucking put the bag up, put his money where his mouth was, and did this shit, put in the time and built it. Obviously, they're like, I'm not, obviously they're in like hot water with whatever, all the shit that they do, like as far as listening to people's phones, all that aside, I'm not talking about any of that controversial stuff. I'm just talking about straight, they provided a service that everyone in the world uses and needs at this point. They don't get, but we should own it because we're the ones that use it and provide it. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
I guess what I'm trying to say is, who's the leader? Business is all about needs and supply and demand. I get that. But who runs the intention behind the business is the important part. Think about it this way. Slavery. Kanye talks about this all the time. Dylan, this is a real question for you because you were in Atlanta at one point. So they have a deep root about the Southern slavery. How in the world did 2 million people get enslaved from one man who had a gun with 6 shots in it?
Damn, where was this?
I'm just saying, as far as history.
Oh.
How can you control masses of people?
Oh, right.
With no real penalty if they attack you.
Right. No, I get it. At worst, if you're talking about like millions of people, at worst, 6 people got to take the bullet. but the entire everyone is free. You know what I mean at that point. But it's like you can go generation. Yeah, no, that gets deep. That's some deep ass shit for sure.
And I think it's because we're so conditioned coming from the music industry. We're so scared to speak up because we'll lose out on a pub deal. We'll lose out on some opportunity that they're dangling over our head. And people are scared to talk about it. I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't care what corporation tries to stomp my message down. I built my own because I'm serving the people. The people are the real thing. It doesn't matter what the corporation, the in-between middleman is. The people are the real thing. The people are the business. The culture is the business. That's why I respect you so much, because you have the people on your side. You're not just some entity. Like, think about this, guys. I want you to really think deeply, okay? And I'm not trying to keep coming at Splice. I just want to make it like, I want people to realize, like, oh, Dylan's right. Like, why don't I team up with Murder Beats and we just make our own website? Like, why am I get it, the extra arms thing. You're like, why you could use Splice as extra income. I get that. But I'm talking about using all.
That's another big thing too. Like a lot of people don't naturally want to be entrepreneurs. So they're like, fuck it. They came to me, they're like, yo, 100 bands to copy and paste some sounds from my computer. I don't got to do no bullshit. I don't got to make Facebook ads. I don't got to do anything. I just get 100 bands and I can do what I want with that. All right, bet, let's run it. You know what I mean? Not everyone is really trying to start a startup and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
But think about it this way. Gospel musicians made a song and it's about the Lord Jesus. And then a porn company comes along and is like, hey, this producer sampled your song. Can we use it in our videos? Would you say yeah, just because they came with the bag?
No, you got to have integrity. But now we're talking on an individual level. Now we're talking about, and it goes back to all of that. All those people consciously made the decision. No one put a gun to their head and said, yo, I'm Splice, and sign this paper and take this money. You know what I mean? And they negotiated what they negotiated. And you know what I mean? So I feel like that's more on the individual than anything.
Yeah. And you said you came from Christian roots?
Yeah.
What did Jesus say? My people die because of lack of knowledge. And I just want to bring people knowledge and truth. The power is in us. We're giving the power away. And then we're being enslaved by the power that we give away to where we can't even become our full selves and potential. And you're right. It's up to them to say yes or no to the opportunity. But what if they had an opportunity to be on Dylan's platform under his umbrella of kits and his audience? You already talked to like 90% of producers.
But I didn't come at him with the bag, and I didn't come at him with the proposition. I wasn't there.
But this is what I mean. You're right in saying this. I want them to open up to think, okay, Splice may offer me tens of thousands of dollars, but what if I partner with Dylan and we make tens of thousands of dollars over multiple years, now to hundreds of thousands of dollars? It's called equity versus the advance. And we can talk about this if you want.
Right, but that's individual. We can't be mad at the person that's making the offer. You got to be mad at the person that took the offer. And the same thing, like when like, so if you get a placement and the label comes at you with a contract and they buy out the full rights of everything you did on that song for this amount of money, like, okay, yeah, you can be mad at them for a point for even putting out shady deals like that. But it's like, okay, bro, you're in the music business, educate yourself, know what's coming. Like, I know you're just a kid that was in your room making a beat and all of a sudden this big rapper wants to use your beat and they're using money. Okay, where do I sign? It's like, okay, yeah, everyone, a lot of people have to go through that. But at the same point, it's like, you don't go into the restaurant business and be like, yeah, I'm just going to, you know what? I don't know shit about the restaurant business, but I'm making hot dogs and I'm starting to stand. And then when someone comes and sets up shop and they buy you out for $400 and you're like, fuck, man, I got fucked. But you're like, bro, you didn't study, you didn't put in the time, you didn't learn the game, and you got ate up. Like, that's the name of the game. Sit at home if you don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're entirely right. And I want to preface it by saying you're right. In business principle, it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's very supply and demand focused. I just want to give people the knowledge of the love of self. Like, you might have heard the analogies with the Black community and all this. I want to replace the word Black with the producer community. There's a metaphor. Do you know how long a dollar stays in the Jewish community?
I don't know. No.
Do we know how long the dollar stays in the Asian community? Meaning, when they earn a dollar, how many times does it pass between their own community before it goes back out? And the Black community has the shortest time. After they get paid on the 15th, they may give it to their brother. The brother gives it to Gucci.
I've definitely heard about stuff like that. I mean, because like you look at like, people that come from foreign countries, like their network, like is crazy. Like I've heard like they spend their money, you know, within their community and kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to introduce that thinking to the producer community. We own the assets already. Dylan already owns a media outlet. He owns a sound design company. I own a sound design company, a course company. Sound Oracle owns a sound design company. My point is saying, okay, if the dollar comes in again to the black, I'm saying black so people can understand it at home. The dollar comes in on the 15th to the black community. Todd gives it, or, you know, Jerome gives it to his brother, Tyler. Tyler goes and buys Gucci with the same dollar that he just got from his brother. It's gone. That dollar's never coming back into the community. So he can't take that dollar to invest in his business or, you know, hire his family to work for him or use that money to get vendors who are also in the same community. So the dollar keeps coming in and going out just as fast. Yeah, black people have $1 trillion worth of spending power, but the spending power goes to every other community. And we're doing the same thing when it comes to the producer community. The dollar comes in, we get our little dollar from our streaming. We give the dollar to Native Instruments, who's over in Germany. That dollar does not come back.
But they're making fire sounds, and we want to buy their sounds and use their sounds. Like, I think it's more about the product. I definitely, trust me, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it's still on an individual level. It's like, okay, I can spend this money with this company who makes Omnisphere crazy sounds. It's what I need, or I can go buy from this producer who made his own VST that the sounds are the sounds he took from Omnisphere. And that, you know, I mean, it's not as great. I don't get as many things. It's like, okay, well, you got to do what you got to do to win. It's not, I mean, yes, you can, you know, there's communal mindset and, you know, we take care of ours, but at the same time, like, you got to do what's best for you as an individual. And that's why it's like, okay, someone could come to Murder and be like, yo, I got 100 bands. Let me drop your kit. Or take the next 3 months of your life and figure out ClickFunnels and figure out how to do this on your own and drop your own kit and figure out a marketing plan and take away from the networking you're doing in studios and getting placements and being able to go on tour and get this back, or just sign here, get this quick 100 and go about your business and do your own thing. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's just the way it played out.
Right. And he's entitled to his brand power and how he gives it out. I guess my point is, again, coming back to intentions and power. We're giving the power away and then get frustrated when that power is used against us because we lose out on opportunities. Let me finish my example.
How is the power used against us?
Let me get to it.
Okay.
And I want to preface this by saying, guys, I've been to the headquarters of Isotope. I did not see people like us in that whole headquarters. There's sectors of 50 employees at a time. Engineers over here, marketing staff over here, you know, whoever. There's like 200 people in the building. I didn't see anybody that looks like us from the community in that entire building. Nowhere was there a job given back to our community. My point is, if we get paid on the 15th and then we give that money to Native Instruments, does Native Instruments ever come back to give us opportunities, jobs, marketing campaigns, or did they just take the money and go?
But they're giving us a product that is of equal value to the money that we're giving them. We decided that this money in our pocket is that product that they made and that we can use in our business is of equal value to this amount of money that I'm looking to take out of my pocket and give to them. I understand that, you know, giving back jobs to the community and stuff like that. But at the same time, this goes back to my original question. In business, if the product satisfies what you need and goes beyond in your personal business and enriching your life, enriching your business, where is the line drawn to where it needs to be more than that? Where it's like, okay, yeah, this product will enrich my life and this will help me as a producer because I'll have fire sounds that I need and I'll be able to compete and I'll be able to create and make the music I want to make. But there's nobody that looks at me. There's nobody that wears headphones and brings a MIDI keyboard in their backpack in their office and listens to Young Thug and stuff like that. So, you know what? I don't want to buy stuff from them because they don't, you know, they're not producers, even though they know what us as producers want and they're providing that. But for the simple fact that no one that works there is a producer, I can't spend my money there. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And again, I'm glad you have the back and forth because you're saying everything that people in the chat are thinking. And I want to keep harping on this. It's about business is supply and demand, but what's the intention of the business? I've learned from high level mentors, there's billionaires. But there's billionaires who leech on the poor. There's different types of businesses. There's supply and demand people, which is cool. But then there's people who stuff the food with preservatives, sell us alcohol, everything to kill us. They're just taking our money because we need food, but it's killing us. Like when we buy from Walmart, for example, yeah, it's convenient. We need forks. We need Febreze. We need, what else does Walmart sell? Like tables. But it's also made in China, which means that dollar is going to the China community, which is fine. Yeah, I value the table, but I'm also destroying everybody's economy over here. Now, Bethy doesn't have a job at the factory because I gave this convenient dollar over to here because it supplied my need. When I had the choice to spend the dollar elsewhere and build up my own community at the same time. So that dollar is becoming more than a dollar if I spend it with my own community. I'm spending $1 with my community, and Todd gets to have his business now, instead of just I spend $1 and get a table. So I'm talking on a grander scale, but it ultimately comes down to community and intentions behind the business. I understand what you're saying. Like, for example, if I made $2,000 today, why can't I spend $100 on Gucci? Like, why is that? I think we should all have things that we want and gather from other communities. But ultimately, if that dollar keeps going out, what's coming in? Accounting says this. If I keep spending, here's a phrase. Have you ever heard of this? Your upkeep will become your downfall if you're... No, how's it go? Wait, I might have to Google this one. If you're... Gosh, let me look it up. I feel so salty because I don't know this. If your outgo... Oh, here's how it goes. If your outgo exceeds your income, then your upkeep will be your downfall. And that applies to everything, whether it's business, personal finance. Let me say it one more time. If your outgo, meaning the stuff you spend, is greater than your income, if you're spending $2,000 a month and you only make $100 a month, you're going to be in debt. And so if your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep or your maintenance will be your downfall. Kyle Beats, he mentioned this. He spends $4,000 on his house with the pool. Shout out to Kyle Beats. I know what it's like to live out in California. My rent was $3,200 a month, and I was living by myself unnecessarily. But it was too much upkeep for no reason. And if I would have kept living that lifestyle, it could have been my downfall. And that's all I'm trying to get at. I mean, I like your angles, and you're making valid points. I just want people to understand they have so much more power. We don't have to run and take the deals if we have our own option to create our own. Not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, but at least contribute to the entrepreneurs who are for us with the intentions of building us up.
Now, let me just say, like, I agree. Like, and I've talked about this on the podcast a lot. Like, because I think producers get caught up in, I'm getting placements and this is what I'm focusing on, when it's like, bro, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Like, you could be selling beats online and you could be selling kits to other producers. And like, even if you put a kit up and, like, say you're like, who's a producer? Give me a producer. Like, they don't have to be like a crazy, like, Metro Murder level.
ATL Jacob?
Yeah, or let's use Bricks, for example, because Bricks shout out to Jacob, but let's use Bricks, for example, because he gets placements and he sells kits. I don't know, does he sell beats? Maybe he sells beats like online or whatever it may be, but I've talked to him and he does he does really good from, the stuff he does, with his catalog and stuff like that, but he also does really good with his kits and stuff like that too. And it's like, if he would have just focused on one and left the other off the table, and he's doing really good without having to go to Splice. But maybe that's just because that's who Bricks is. And maybe he can manage that and he can handle that. But this producer over here is like, you know what, bro? Like, I'm cool with taking that upfront bag, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to just, focus on this. I think it all really boils down to an individual, who you are on an individual basis.
Very true. And hopefully this conversation can hopefully shift the mindset of the industry, because it's a complete paradigm shift. It's going from like industry thinking of, I got to get a pub deal, get a lawyer, to, wow, I literally have infinite potentiality to do whatever I want. It's a very big mind shift. And I understand it's going to take a lot of time to get that. And you're right. I've talked to and consulted with producers who have produced for Drake even, and they're scared because they're like, look, if I start selling sounds online, it's going to depreciate my business offline and I'm going to look like I'm a lower value. They really have these concerns. So they're scared to make that leap. And I want to just give people confidence to say, we as a producer community are so strong in the infrastructure. It's okay to take that leap without looking back.
Right.
But it's just fear. It's really just fear.
Let me say this real quick too. And we can this whole ownership type of thing. It's a great conversation, but it seems like we're straying away from that. But I want to just say this one last point. And trust me, what you're saying, like what you're preaching right here, I get 100%. And I believe in that, and that's who I am, as in the ownership, independent mentality. But I'm going to tell you, when I started like learning more about financial stuff and get into this real estate stuff, my boy Spesh, who from Rochester, he really kind of opened up my mindset to this one time we linked up, and he was really breaking things down to how we have to be thinking about things financially. So use this as an example. And I know we've said the word Splice to death, but Splice gives you $250,000 for a kit up front, right? And, maybe you could do it on your own and you can make residually like $500 a month, $1,000 a month. Maybe you do a nice launch and you make like $30K in the first, week or the first month. And then now you're residually making like a $500 or $100 and it teeters off, and say over the lifespan of that kit, let's say you made $250,000, right? And that was feeding you, every month. And then, after about 250, it just kind of like, the product became old, it became outdated. But if you would have took that 250 from Splice and immediately put it into a compounding interest investment or like real estate or something like that, the payoff and now you're getting cash flow from that investment if it's real estate for life, and you're paying off your house. So it's like, okay, I took that 250K, but I made a smart financial decision and turned that into 2.5 million, or I just made 250K over a period of 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I was like, shit, that's crazy, because that changes everything. Because now it's not always just about, I just want to be the owner, I want to be independent, I want to do this. Now it breaks down to like, damn, what's the best financial situation for me and my future, my legacy and my family? And that shit really, like, I'm telling you, like when I had that conversation, I was like, damn, this just unlocked. And Spesh always does that to me, bro. Like whenever I talk to him after, and it's been a couple months, he always comes at me with some new game. And it's like, damn, bro, like I thought I had it figured out. And now I'm talking to you, you're giving me this whole new shit. And now it's like, you just fucked my whole head up again. But yeah, but you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and you unlocked a whole deeper level to the conversation, which is really good because you brought up another angle. And I want guys to realize this. Remember Bill Cosby when he was popping? And
not really. I mean, I was too young, but you talking about like the 90s or whatever?
Just he's a popping name is my point.
Right.
He tried to buy, I think, a network like NBC or one of those, CBS. And then what happened? He had the finances, he had the money, but they said no. So at a certain level, we think that money moves everything, but when you have the power to say no, you control the intention of something. So Bill Cosby tried to buy a network, got shut down and ostracized. Who else? Chat, help me out. Who else tried to make a power move? What's his name? Bill something Allen. Chat, help me out. What's his name? Something Allen. Robert Allen, or somebody in the chat will help me out. But this man tried to buy like Comcast or something. And they said no. He had the money for it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, we can make deals that we sell our portion of the portfolio for money, but we have to get to a point where we can say no, because it benefits us more to keep and recycle than it does to offset because of a quick little flip. For example, okay, iTunes. Did iTunes help or destroy the music industry? What do you think?
I guess it depends on who you ask. If you ask CD sales, if you ask people that were in the CD business, then they probably would say, hell no, they destroyed everything. But if you ask the artists, and I think the same with like Spotify, and I think this is what you're getting at, is like you kind of saved the music industry from piracy with Spotify more than iTunes, because piracy was still going on with iTunes. But to your point though.
Mm-hmm. My point is that, again, I'm not trying to use Splice as a thing. Let's say iTunes, okay? It's like, cool, iTunes has this outlet. We could send it to the world in a blink of an eye, get a bag for it. But ultimately, it devalued the perception of music to where every song was $1. Where in the world do we sell everything for the same exact price? Even the apple at your grocery store has a different price at another grocery store. Like, think about that.
But was that to fuck up the game, or was that the answer to like, okay, you know what? People aren't really spending what we were charging before. They're actually figured out a way to get this shit for free. And this is a way that we can at least patch up these holes real quick and try to make some kind of money off this shit. Because if we stay where we are and we make people buy physical, then we're just going to be fucked all around. So was that pivot necessary?
It goes back to the economic hitman. When you undercut everybody, you will monopolize an industry. And once you monopolize the industry, you can sell off the portfolio however you want. And in bigger business, like you talked about cash flow and different businesses, different assets. So when people think about, okay, I have a sound design company, that's an asset that makes $20,000 a month. I have a course training company, oh, that makes $100,000 a month. I have a placement company that makes $50,000 a month. It's all those things that make you $1 million a year. It's not the one thing that does all the million. It's all the little assets. Now you could sell off your sound design company and whatever multiple you think it's justified. We can get into business selling and all that. But my point is, when you do sell that, I'll be honest with you, Dylan. When people buy businesses, have you ever studied like people buying businesses and selling businesses?
No.
Let me kind of enlighten the audience a little bit. When you go to sell a business or buy a business, the owner is the one making the decision. Now, okay, so let's use your as an example. So producer grind, I'm making $1 million a year off of kits. And I come in like, yo, they're making $1 million a year. Dylan's trying to retire. Let me buy the company for 10. That's called a 10 multiple. So you're making $1 million, but I'm paying you 10. It's called the multiple of the business. And it's dependent on the industry. Because I'm looking at it like, if I buy his business for 10, I could flip it for 20 down at Tech Valley, because they're going to flip it into a hedge fund, like Kanye said. It's just going to become a portfolio of stuff, of assets. It's going to become less of a business, more of like numbers on a piece of paper. My point is that you as Dylan can say no to me, even if I came with you with 10 million, because there's something called, in real estate actually, called seller finance. You ever heard of that?
Like creative financing?
Yeah, I guess they rephrase it as creative financing, but it's something very specific when you sell a business called seller finance. And what this means is, yeah, your company's worth 10 million. I'm only going to give you 100,000 up front, and I'll pay you 10,000 a month for like forever.
Right.
That's really how businesses are sold. They're not making a $50 million bag in cash. Like, they're being paid in installments over time. Now, if you take that deal, you're like, okay, 10 million sounds cool over time. But the thing is, if you sold it to me and I suck at business and I could potentially destroy the business, you actually don't have an interest to sell it to me, because then you won't get your installment payments, because the business will be bankrupt. So it's important who you sell the business to, because they can literally destroy your future income. And if that's what you're relying on for your retirement, that's your life. So I guess what I'm getting at is ownership does matter in how we transfer these assets in that regard. And that's why I keep talking about intentions. Like, where is it going? Who's the leader behind it? But you mentioned a lot. That's more zoomed out. I don't think the people in the chat really can understand what you're talking about, because you're talking about assets, portfolios, and the bigger business, like, flipping the 250 make from here to take it into the bigger game.
But I just say all that to really say, like, it's up to us to educate ourselves, because if we go in and we stay ignorant about things and we never expand and learn about that sort of stuff, that's when you're going to get taken advantage of. And that's why I think it's really up to the individual to empower themselves. And that's why there's this podcast, because this is a way to at least make people maybe go do some Google searches and learn about these things. And that's why we love getting people on the show like Sonny, who kind of tell their horror stories about what happened, because then we can educate people on how to educate themselves, or at least point them in the direction like, hey, you might want to educate. If you're looking to be a music producer, you might want to educate yourself in how this stuff works, because if you get deep in this shit and you don't know how that shit works, and you don't got someone around you that's really trustworthy that knows how this shit works, well, then it's not going to probably work out in your best advantage the way you thought it would. And that's really why I say it really, versus pointing the finger at like, oh, you came at them with that deal, you should have known better, you're shiesty. But it's like, okay, you know what? I just was a man that approached with an offer, and they signed on the dotted line because they didn't empower themselves, they didn't educate themselves, which is terrible. But at the same time, it's like we need to take the responsibility of that as individuals looking to get into this business that we're looking to get into. We can't just think that it's going to be sweet and people are just going to be friendly. It's going to be bunnies jumping around and clouds and here, take this money. I only want 1%. No, it's not going to be like that.
Playboy bunnies, hopefully, not just bunnies jumping around. No, but that's why I respect you, is because you're trying to bring in the experts, like to open people's eyes, share those stories to get us out of that trap that we were kind of pushed into. And that's your mission. That's Sonny's mission. That's my mission. We're really here to protect the community. And there's people who are really about it. Like, for example, when you go to Guitar Center, now recently, I've got a new studio. I don't know if you know, and I want to build it up and make it cool and do all this stuff. Now, I went directly to my mentors, like 4 people's perspective. Mixbus TV. I went to Amon Jackson, AJ. I went to, who else I go to? My mentor, Rondi Silvestro at Sound Oracle, even. I think I asked him about stuff. Now, I trust that they actually have my best interest in mind. Now, if I did the same exact thing, ask those same exact questions by walking into my local Guitar Center, and I say, hey, guys, I'm trying to build a studio. Like, I'm a music producer. I want to mix. I want to sound design.
Right.
They point me to the crappiest keyboard because they're
or the most expensive. Well, yeah, whatever. They're trying to get you to drop your bag.
Right. And it's like,
well, you don't go to a car salesman for, car advice and stuff like that. You got to pick and choose who you ask those questions for sure. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Who has our best interest? It doesn't matter who owns it. Who has our best interest? And that's ultimately the fight that's happening behind the scenes. That's why I constantly say there's 2 factions. There's the Cymatics faction and there's the BusyWorks Beats side. This side is full of respect to people who have earned it. That side is just influencers and random stuff. Now, I understand people work on both sides. I'm not here to create sides like Republicans, Democrats, Bloods, and Crips. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to unite people to understand our power. And, that's just what I see from my perspective. Maybe a lot of people in the chat haven't seen that. I have more spice, like how Native Instruments, why they cut off a third of their company. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
You didn't hear about that?
No. I don't really keep up. I don't keep up with a lot of shit. I'm gonna be honest.
Native Instruments laid off 1/3 of their company. If I'm getting the stats right, people in the chat help me out with the facts.
Damn.
Want to know the behind the scenes story?
Sure, why not? Let's get it.
I'll be quick. I'll be quick because this one's more like gossip. It's not gossip. It's actual reality, but it's more like anyway. I heard from a very reliable source who works behind the scenes with high level corporations. Okay. Native Instruments, has raised $50-something million. They were advised to invest that stuff into content because that was the marketing machine back then. Now, when they were raising that $50 million, did they come to Dylan with the keyboard and the campaign and put him on the front page of NI?
Mm-mm.
Did they go to MG The Future to make him break down the machine? Did they go to Curtis King to make him break down the what does Native Instruments have? Like, I don't know, besides keyboards and
the machine and the
machine
contact,
contact,
complete,
like the DJ equipment. Did they go to Trizza? There's leaders in the community that got completely overlooked by the companies that should be investing it back into the community. And my point is that they mishandled that large investment because they didn't invest in the actual leaders. They invested in the people who seemed like by numbers influential. But that's not like, okay, your channel has how many subscribers?
8. We just hit 100K. Let's go.
Black on the way. Let's go. Black on the way.
Let's
I
go.
know you're hyped. Where you gonna put it?
The plaque? It's got to be in view of the morning show, right? But you know what? I'm on this minimalist vibe. I don't want to put anything on the walls. Like, you got to see my setup. It's so minimal. Like, I don't even really want this this thing behind me here, to be honest. But it's kind of just like a staple.
On the second rung, is that a Starbucks coffee cup?
Nah, that's actually a Free Bands double cup. Then I got the Lyrical Lemonade pack, and then I got which I don't even know why it's up there. Then I got the Beatmaker coffee mug. I think it's up there because it's dope merch, and I respect how they did that merch right there because it's dope. And then I got a little Korg keyboard thing. It's so random, like nothing up there really has too much meaning besides the Beatmaker mug. It's just kind of stuff that looks good.
All subliminal. No, I have the Beatmaker mug in my dishwasher downstairs. Somebody used it the other day.
Hey, let's go, coffee gang.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is getting back to the focus, which is NI raised 50 million. Overlook the actual leader. Oh, here's what I was going to say. Your channel has 100,000 subscribers, but you influence the entire music producer space. It doesn't matter your subscriber count. It's about the influence and the respect level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
There's another kid with 100,000 subscribers. He's making tutorials, but nobody knows his name. Nobody really respects him. He just gets keyword searches.
Who's that?
So there's people respect.
But is he providing value? Is he giving out soft?
Yeah, but I'm not here to depreciate his value. What I'm trying to say is there's people who we actually look up to and respect, and there's people who just deliver the thing. Right? There's businesses who just deliver us stuff, and then there's businesses where like, oh my God, I live and die by this business. And that's all I'm trying to get at is there's real and there's like, run in the mill. So my point is they invested all this money in the run in the mill stuff, not the real.
Yeah.
And then look what happens. The company's doing backflips trying to figure out what happened. Then the pandemic hits, which probably added the fuel to the fire. I'm not here to wish a company down. I'm just trying to say that they need to understand our power. If we don't understand our own power, how can they not understand the power? Because again, Dylan, I've done so many business deals behind the scenes. I've helped people get to bags, like whether it's software, whatever it may be. I've helped somebody create over 6 figures just from one deal alone. Now I want you to grasp this because I don't know how your team works. Now I know you have 2 channels, Team Producer Grind and this channel. So on Team Producer Grind, they do most of the like FL content and stuff.
Yeah.
TB. Does J Beats help with that anymore? Or
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. I didn't know who all your team was.
Shout out to Team Producer Grind. Shout out to the gang.
Right. Now, let's say they pull up Expand 2, for example, or Omnisphere even, while they're using it. You know how many copies of Expand 2 and Omnisphere they're selling?
Right. No, yeah. Hell yeah.
Now, behind the scenes, I'll be quick about this because this is like a rant, and a lot of people won't understand this because they're not YouTube creators yet. But I want you guys to think like you're creators, not just producers, because that's how you get a name. You become a content creator. What would happen is, long story short, a company would approach Dylan, for example, and say, hey, I'm company A, and I have this software that I want you to sell me hundreds of thousands of dollars worth. Guess what I'll give you in exchange? I'll give you a free copy of the software.
I'll give you a free copy, right? Yeah, exactly.
And they're bypassing Facebook, where they could have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook. They're bypassing all that, going through your likeness that you've built up, your goodwill, it's called in business. And I want to make it very clear, when people buy businesses, there's something in the deal called goodwill. People pay for goodwill when they buy a business. That's how powerful goodwill is. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're not tapping into with the community. So, hey, I'm company A, Dylan. I need you to cover my software. We're going to set you up with an NFR, not for retail, basically a free copy. I need you to make 10 videos. They need to be edited just like this. Oh, yeah, by the way, again, all you get is a free copy. But we're going to make tens of thousands of dollars, never pay you a penny, and we're going to do it next year, too. Does that sound like a deal you would take?
I mean, we've done it for free. You know what I mean? So like, we do it all the time. Like, even just doing an FL Studio tutorial, you don't get paid by FL every time you do an FL Studio tutorial.
Or do I?
You probably do, because you're goated for that. He said, or do I? Yeah, not yet. That's facts. It's facts. Yeah. But I guess I would just, my card back to that would be individual chose to do that. Could have said no. Could have found another way to make some money. But, you know, I hope you know I'm just playing devil's advocate here. And I really like your analogies and your like metaphors and stuff like that. And I think just us having a conversation, I'm kind of just good at throwing out like, well, like you know what I mean, trying to find my way around it. I don't know, you know what I mean? But I'm just like I said, I'm just doing that to play devil's advocate and to have both sides be understood, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the law of polarity, right? Like, without north, there's no south. And in order for people to understand Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's been a while. I haven't been to school lately. Roy G. Biv. We have to have light and we have to have dark, and we have to have the whole spectrum of frequency. So that's what you're helping people create, is that spectrum. So I need that. And my ultimate goal, really, my ultimate message with saying the whole NI thing is just understand our power. Like, we are making multi-million-dollar businesses without even realizing it. Why isn't that coming into your pocket? All I'm saying is people deserve what they're creating. That's all I'm saying, is that we're giving away all this magic to these companies, making them hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. None of that is coming back into that creator's pocket. That's what I had an issue with. So, you know, I understand the business, you know, get people leverage their situation. In real estate, there's the 5 Ds, right?
5
like
Ds.
Of distress, 5 Ds of distress, like death, divorce, depression, whatever the other 2 are.
What's that, reasons people sell a property?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can get the property way undervalued if somebody's trying to just get out of the divorce.
Oh, okay, yeah,
way
right,
undervalued
right.
if they're just trying to sell it because somebody died. And yeah, we could look at it that way. About businesses looking at influencers that way, but how long does that last when we realize that's all they do is just prey on our low self-esteem, basically? It's like the guy who gets with a bunch of girls because he knows they have low self-esteem, so he makes them do some crazy stuff and preys on their, you know, their image. I just don't. There's a point where it's not right, and you're right. Where's that line? So that's a good question for the community. We'll see over time where that line is. But you mentioned YouTube. I don't want to I know we went into a lot of topics, but I want to make sure I'm giving your audience what they wrote. Because didn't people write in your IG like what they wanted to have answers of?
Yeah. And I want to we've kind of covered a lot of that stuff. So I'd rather just bring people right in for a live Q&A for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Last thing I'll just say to that point is trust me, I 100% agree. And there's certain companies that if their values don't line up, or if they're just completely out there with a crazy agenda or crazy point of view that you don't agree with, then don't take your money elsewhere. For sure, I agree with that. But I guess my whole argument was, like I said, where does if the value is there for what you're exchanging in and what you're receiving, and there are no conflicts of interest as far as the things I had just said, them being totally opposite views and agenda or whatever, is basically, I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place.
But you're making a good point. And I forgot to mention one powerful thing about this community aspect, which is that, yeah, they can get the bag with all these companies, but we need to create an incentive that's better than working with these companies if we want to build up our own community. So I know that's very abstract, but what I'm saying is this. Do you have a pet? Or what kind of animal?
We got a little fat orange cat.
Like Garfield?
Yeah, a lot of people say he's like Garfield.
That's funny. So the cat. So I don't know if people train cats. Do you train a cat?
I wish you could, but you can't. They do what they want, to be honest.
Okay.
You could train them a little bit, though. You could train them a little bit, but definitely not like the levels you can with a dog. But I don't know. Maybe if you're like a master, you probably could do it. But I don't think the average person could train as easy as the average person could train a dog.
That's hilarious. Training a cat, that's going to be a thing. So when you're training a dog, for example, what do people use to make them do stuff?
Punishment and reward.
Rewards mostly. Right. And there's a methodology where they say, you've heard of this, people are more pain averse than they are to gain pleasure.
More pain averse? What's that mean?
People are more willing to get away from those 5 Ds, divorce, death, just escape the pain rather than
seek pleasure.
Like, for example,
wasn't J. Cole's intro talking about that? Choose wisely.
I don't know. I don't study his lyrics like that.
Oh, no, his whole, I was just listening to KOD in the beginning. It was on some deep shit, the little intro there, right there. But it's kind of what you're saying, but continue on with your point.
Yeah, it's like doctors, right? Nobody goes to a doctor because they want to do betterment for their health. They go to a doctor because something's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Preventative. They don't go to preventative doctors. That's like woohoo stuff, whatever the word is, CLA woo stuff.
Yeah.
But you go when something's wrong. And that's what happens in the producer community. But we're so conditioned to go somewhere because something's wrong as opposed to gaining the pleasure. And that's that future thinking that you talked about. Like, take that flip of the 250K, put it into real estate, and the compound interest will carry you. That's a preventative thinking. That's not of working out of lack type of mindset. That's an abundant mindset. And the producer community is working out of this lack mindset. And my point is, we have to get people used to having the rewards here. We need to offer better rewards than we reward from the other companies. That's how we're going to attract more producers over here. So for the business owners who understand what the heck I'm talking about, offer more equity to the producers. Like, for example, when I make expansions for my Hermes software that's about to have an update, I'm going to give the producer who works with me 70% of the income. You know why? Because I'm using their likeness to build a cool brand. And that's what I'll do for each expansion pack. I'm going to give them the majority share, the lion's share, whatever the proper word is, because I know how important that is to build up our community and give them the rewards as opposed to 10%. And then they're just running off to some other company because I gave them pennies.
And don't undervalue yourself, though, because if that person was to try to do it without you, it would take a long time for them to realize the amount of money that they'll be able to realize off rip because of using your brand power too. So you can't devalue that.
I'm looking at it like leverage. The more somebody feels like they own something, the more they'll push it. So if they know they own 70%, they'll push it like it's their own product. I don't have to constantly push and push and push and push and push. It's a different mindset. That's for the higher level folks who are trying to grow. You got to think leverage. That's what Dylan's been doing since day one. Leverage all these other people, like build up a momentum. It's leverage. Even Jesus talked about it. He said, fish with a net, not a rod. You know why? Because a rod takes the same amount of 2 hands as a net. You can catch one fish with a rod. you can catch 1,000 with a net using the same exact two hands. And that's how we operate.
So from talking with you, man, like I said, you're a real deep guy, and I definitely like, you know, the way you use analogies and metaphors and stuff. And I was watching your come up video, and the way it started, you know, it wouldn't start like a producer come up video. You know, supposedly starts like, yeah, you know, I was a kid and I was listening to a lot of music, and my boy gave me FL. Yours was started with and it's dope because it was like you were really writing a book. You said, I've seen the hand, I've held the hands of the demise. I can't exactly quote you word for word, but it was deep. Where did all this, like, have you always been like that? Does that come from like maybe your parents, or where did all that develop from?
Good question. I got to shout out my grandmom. I had a conversation with her yesterday, and I said, you know what, my mom, like, you were the foundation for the entire way I am right now.
Dope.
She was on me early, making me read, put me in front of people, business opportunities. I didn't realize how impactful that was. Listen, Dylan, our self-esteem is created from the age of 1 to 7. Whatever happened during that time defines your character and your imaging.
Damn.
So if you're a kid who had trauma, guess what you're carrying into your adulthood? Trauma. If you're a kid that was reinforced with love, guess what you carry into your adulthood? And, you know, I got to give her respect off the rip, like my grandma, period. But my story, you're talking about when I said I've been around the poor and I've been around the super rich, that part?
Yeah. You were saying, like, you know, you were holding this lady's hand who was like blind and all that.
Oh, that's okay. Wow, my Jefferson story. Okay. Yeah.
See, I think the video is called My Story on your Busyworks Beats channel. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Oh, awesome. Wow. Okay. That shows that you actually care enough to like research, because I don't even think I use SEO. It's just called My Story.
Of course.
I don't even know how you found it.
Of course. Hey, I gotta give shouts out to my guy Leno for that. Leno's the GOAT who helped me with the research.
Do you want the story? I'll give you the capsulized story, very chunky story. You want the story real quick?
Let's get it, man. We haven't talked to any about your come up story, and, you know, it wouldn't be a producer grind interview without that.
Yeah, and I feel like my fault. I kind of neglected that. You're right. So I started just like you guys. Loved FL Studio. Didn't know why. Actually started rapping back when I was like 14.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? Everybody's rapping over the same beats. Like, I want to make my own beats. So I started producing for this like a local group and making my own beats, just because I ran out of beats from hipstrumentals. I ran out of beats from whatever was popping during that time. I can't remember. And I was like, you know what? I want to make more. So I investigated making beats, fell in love with it. Went to school for biology and pre-med for 4 years at Villanova University. Shout out to all the Wildcats around the world. And, you know, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, I'll be honest, because my family had that kind of pre-existing. Like, they were all into healthcare. They just wanted me to be a doctor. I felt like I had to live up to their expectations. So I was like, all right, I'll do this doctor thing, whatever. I wanted to be a neurologist. And quickly what I realized is that I just want to study human behavior for marketing's sake. I didn't know what it was called, though. I just thought it was neurology, brain science. And what I really wanted to do was marketing and applied psychology, they call it. So anyway, 4 years of Villanova, my first 2 years. You can yawn. Go ahead. I know this is boring.
No, you're good. I didn't yawn.
You're like,
nah.
I know that feeling, though. I know it when you're interviewing people. It's like you try to hide it. Okay. Anyway, so the sophomore year, I wanted to start a fraternity with my roommate because we had this entrepreneurial energy. We just didn't know what to do with the energy. We're like, yo, we want to start something. Like, let's start a frat. It was called TKE, but TKE at Villanova had like a bad history of drugs or something, selling cocaine or whatever. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we can't form that frat. What else? Like, where am I going to put this energy? So we're like, okay, let's start the pre-med club. We're pre-med majors. The pre-med society sucks at this school. Let's create something brand new and just transform everything at this school. I'm telling you, this is the Charlie Rocket stuff. The other producers who just talk about, you know what I mean? You just got to do it. You know what I mean? But this is real. I was probably the dumbest person in the classroom, but me and my roommate had enough faith in enough balls. That's really what it came down to. I had enough balls to stand in front of 150 rich kids who were way smarter than me and be like, yo, guys, why are we competing? Like, this school teaches us the Darwin theory so that we can chop each other's heads off. We're not competing against each other. Why don't we join together and wipe out these other schools? Why are we fighting against each other for opportunity? And I said, let's come together under the pre-med club. And I galvanized hundreds of people. I'm talking about, Dylan. I would walk into classes at the end of the class because the professor would teach, and I would come in like the last 10 minutes because I would call up professors like, hey, can we talk the last 10 minutes to talk about the pre-med club? All an idea. Nothing was solid. I said, hey, guys, what do you think about this? no skills of public speaking, no nothing. I just had the balls and the courage and the faith to get in front of 200 kids at a time. And I did this for like
Damn.
10 classes. And we recruited hundreds and hundreds of people like the first year. And every meeting was cool. It felt really exciting. Like we had an executive board. There's a lot of stuff that went behind it. We would bring in doctors. I would call up random doctors. Hey, we have this new club. Can you come in and give some gems and talk to our, people? They're like, yeah, cool. Just off of me having the faith to do it. And we built up this crazy club. We built internships, outreach programs. We had fun events, socializing, networking, all this cool stuff. I'm pretty sure I helped many people get into med school because the internships didn't even exist until we came together, Dylan. Like these doors weren't open until we said, let's be one now. Then Jefferson opened up the doors. Then Lincoln Now Hospital opened up the doors to say, oh, you guys are a big force. Okay, come on in for an internship. Come help us out. And that's how I got those opportunities to work with these major hospitals in the city. Lincoln Now Hospital, Jefferson Hospital. Jefferson Hospital, I think, $1 billion economy or $1 billion hospital alone. And I got to work in the emergency department. Now, were you in health at all?
No.
Health systems? Mm-mm. Oh, okay. You seem like a guy who's like, phlebotomist or whatever. No, let's tease it. So I got to be in the like crisis center of Philadelphia. I got to see homeless people. I got to see people who got STDs. I got to see people who were blind, deaf, gangsters, everybody. They were all humbled on one floor called the emergency room. There was a different section called the trauma center. I wasn't allowed in there, but everything else I got to see. And I said, what makes us human? Like, what is the common thread that keeps us wanting to help each other? And that's where I was humbled. Like, I got to see, you're talking about the story where I was doing research in the research department. I'm about to tear up about the story. I'm trying to keep the tears down. No, I was researching in the research department and I walked in and this lady had the craziest story and she had to sign something. And she's like, you know what? I developed diabetes or whatever and I went blind. And I didn't know. So I had to guide her hand as she was signing. That was humbling as freak. Like, and she appreciated life so much that it made me, step back and like reevaluate it. Also, there was this other guy. I'm really trying to hold back the emotions here, but there's this other guy where he had high blood pressure. And I remember the doctor treated him crappy. The nurse treated him crappy. I came in just with my personality and energy and had this guy laughing for like an hour straight. Not that I was funny, but that I gave him the energy and attention because he was funny too. We were laughing for like an hour. The nurse comes back in and she's like, wow, you're doing good. She's like, wow, he's way happier. He's doing good now. And my point is that the human element to lift up other people and bring them out of chaos is what makes us one. Like, it's the showing of love that really combines us as one. And that's beyond medicine. That's beyond the techniques. That's the spiritual stuff, that really lifts us up. So I want to encourage everybody watching the stream. What's your purpose? Like, what are we here to do? There's three main things. Show love, be filled with the spirit of truth, which means always seek truth. Like when Dylan's playing the devil's advocate, we're trying to pry out what is the absolute objective truth about this. And lastly, fulfill your assignment, which means complete your purpose. My purpose is to give Bibles. Everybody's assignment is completely different, but that's mine. Those are the three things I was told from a higher source about the purpose of life. And getting back to the story, so from the pre-med club, great success. That's where I learned entrepreneurship and running a business. I didn't know what it was at the time, but then I was like, wow, entrepreneurship is what I wanted to do the whole time. I just never knew what the heck it was called. So I stumbled upon it and it changed my whole perspective for the rest of the years. Graduated, was like free entry-level jobs on 8 years of experience for beginner level. And I only had 4 years of university. How am I supposed to get the other 4 years of experience to get a job? So I realized that was a sham. I paid many thousands to this university, came out with nothing. Now, I did learn social skills. I learned how to network and all these cool things. But, I couldn't apply my major to anything. I could take the wisdom and apply it to something else, which I did, into business, which is animal behavior and all these things. So long story short, student loans came. I'm like, $400 a month? Like, I don't even make that on YouTube. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, $400 a month was a lot to me at that time. And I was like, I don't have any income, no job, $400 a month. I deferred it as long as I could. The school deferment plan
that's going on right now?
Yeah, like you could push it back like 6 months, 1 year.
Oh, I thought they were doing that because of quarantine or whatever.
Oh, they may have a bonus period even.
Oh.
I didn't have all that back then.
Oh, okay.
There's a max too. You can only push it back for like 3 years, and then they hit you. You can't defer it anymore. So I didn't want to deplete that. So I deferred it like 6 months. I was like, I got to figure something out. And all I had was my YouTube channel, which was supplementing me through my senior year, because I had a job at senior year, but it wasn't all the money I needed to survive. Like I'll be honest with you guys. I'll be a little transparent. I had a job at university and I worked at the dining hall. And sometimes I worked at the dining hall because you got a free meal every time you worked. So like I would have to rely on working there just to get the free meal. And sometimes I'll put a little bit of extra food in there because I'm like, I don't even have money to go to the grocery store and buy chicken like everybody else. Because again, you got to remember, I'm at a university, Villanova. It's in a place called the Mainline, PA. Mainline alone raises the entire net worth of the entire state. Like there's a gazillionaires in Mainline. Kids coming from families where you remember the guy Murdoch, the financial guy who like screwed everybody with his Ponzi scheme.
Oh, Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff, my fault, not Murdoch. Bernie Madoff. I had a girl tell a story in a sociology class. Yeah, my grandmom, Bernie, what's his name again?
Bernie Madoff.
She's like, my grandmom gave her money to Bernie Madoff and we lost 50 million and now she's mad. I was like, 50 million? Like, whew, my family can't even spell 50 million,
Yeah.
That's the type of families I'm around. And like, can you imagine? Not only does it lift up your self-esteem to be like, wow, I can be just as good as these millionaire, billionaire families, but it also makes you realize like, I can't compete against these billionaire, millionaire families. Mm-hmm. So I was like, forget the girls. Like, I can't even compete anyway. Todd's going to get her regardless because he's a gazillionaire with a trust fund.
Todd.
Like, why am I even trying to get this girl? She's going to end up with Todd anyway. Like, so I wasn't distracted by girls as much during university. And my whole point is I would take that extra time. Every time I would come back home for a break, I'd be on the computer making videos for people in a Facebook group. And that was where I found my joy, but I didn't know what the heck it was called because I was so caught up in college life. You don't realize it. But for the people who are seniors, you might realize like every time I go home, I'm at peace. Like, why is that? And it's because you're going back to what you actually love. So long story short, I was doing that over time. It was supplementing my income. And then I said, let me go all in because I was like, these student loans got to get paid some type of way. Nobody's hiring. I have no other options. My back's against the wall. And then I said, all right, YouTube's my only thing. I put all my energy into it. My life changed, never turned back. I feel like entrepreneurship's more secure than having a job at this point. How do you think? What was your back against the wall moment? I don't think I ever heard that from you.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, my mom used to kick me out, like, for smoking weed and shit. And then I like got kicked out of there. And then I moved to my granddad's house and he kicked me out because I had got, I literally, because I was about to graduate like a half a year early, senior year. And because I would always go out to my car and smoke like before, like in between class and shit. And literally my last week of school, I ended up getting suspended for that last week. And then my grandpa kicked me out. And long story short, I ended up there was a couple of other things that happened in between that, a couple more house hopping. But then I ended up at my own living. Literally, I had just got this little studio space with a couple friends and had nowhere to go, and I had to like stay there. And I was like recording people, for like, to get by and eat and stuff like that. And I had to go get my old job back. But I would say that was definitely my back against the wall moment for sure.
Oh, wow. That's intense. Like that's a primary need. No shelter.
I mean, I was living in the studio. Yeah, I was living in the studio.
Mm-hmm. But just like the idea of like it being stripped away just out of nowhere.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's intense. Like
they were tripping over some damn weed.
And that's why I respect people who actually went through the pain. Like you were burned by that. And this is what makes you you. Okay. You're the rock. Actually, you're not the rock. You're the spirit around the rock. But let's say you're the rock in this case. You're the rock. I'm the rock. You smell what I'm cooking or whatever it says. And you smell. All right. Anyway, sorry. You're the rock and you're walking through the flames of trauma, like literally until the rock becomes ash. And you say, instead of staying ash, I'm going to lift myself up back as a different shape. I'm going to take this dust and reform myself. I went through the trauma. It purified me. I found the gold within myself. I got rid of the waste. And now I'm a better version of myself. That's why I can only respect people who have gone through the pain and the trauma, like yourself and like the people I bring on my channel, because we have a deeper, there's a deeper resonance. I don't know how else to describe it. But when you talk to people who've actually gone through something, don't you feel like a different type of vibration? like a different, not vibration, but a different depth. To their,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, like, because it's like, okay, they've been through it. They didn't get no handouts, kind of thing. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I guess a better equation is like when you listen to a rapper and you know that I'm a skill beat. She can say bad eat. Like that's very like surface level. But then there's rappers like J. Cole who talks about real scenarios, and you could just like you fall into his stories.
Okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Because it's real and it's like a real depth to it. Yeah, but that's the story in a nutshell. I'm trying to think of any other major piece. And then we built BusyWorks Beats from that. And I learned from my mentor, Frank Kern, sat down 2 days straight, or however long it took, wrote my ideas down on a piece of paper. Here's my whole story. It's like all I had was a laptop and a dream. So after that point of student loans, I was literally sitting in my mom's extra bedroom with a hot laptop on my lap, broken little mouse wheel that I had from school. The iPhone headphones to plug into the jack. So I was making beats on the iPhone headphones. That's all I had. Sitting on a bed, depressed, because I felt like the ceiling to that room was the ceiling to my life. And only the people who have felt that can understand what the heck I'm talking about. I was to a point where I was like, can anything get better? So I started reading and studying my mentor and applying it. And that's when my life changed. So, imagine you got thighs, you got your laptop on your thighs. It's called a laptop, but you got it on your thighs. All right. It's called a thigh top. Put it on your thighs. And it was burnt. It was like literally leaving the little fan holes. Those fans at the bottom of the laptop?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I get up. I'm sweating. Not only sweating because my air conditioner wasn't on, but I have lines in my legs. I'm like hot dogs in my legs, basically. I said, things need to change.
Busy was sitting there in his drawers cooking up.
Yeah, like the whole room probably smelled like hot dog grease. No, it wasn't that savage. And I took that moment and I studied from my mentor straight, like listened to him nonstop, like for maybe a week. I don't remember how long exactly. But then I remember taking out a piece of white paper. I don't know if this has sensitive information on it. I took out a piece of white paper, a pen. I wrote down everything I wanted from my website and everything. I spent the next 48 hours and I made it happen. My life has never been the same ever since. This is the most powerful tool, is a piece of white blank paper and a pen. Have you ever used this strategy?
Yeah, just like writing shit down. Hell yeah, that's law of attraction type shit. Hell yeah.
And I want you guys to just know that you have so much power. You just gotta. I wasn't known at the time, so we were all not known at the time. Like you have to decide at some point to go all in because it requires that energy. If you're splitting your energy between work, your family, your girl, your this, your that, you're not gonna have enough focus to even make anything happen. And that's why a lot of you guys see lackluster results. You have what's the phrase? Jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah.
And don't put your eggs in what's the phrase though? Like, I don't know. But the point is, if you spread the focus, you're not going to get anywhere.
Which goes back to my whole point about knowing yourself and knowing the whole, do I sell kits on my own, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it's all like, and that's why I think this is great because it brings it back around to it's all about that individual and who you are and what you do kind of thing. And it's all up to you. It's not up to anybody but you. And you can come from hardships, you can come from easy. But it's really, it all boils down to what you do, what you write down on that piece of paper and what you follow up with.
Mm-hmm. And I want you guys, as much respect as you have for me, I have a deeper respect for Dylan because every time I look at you, I'm like, how did he get his team to be so solid? Like, you got TB on your team. Like he's a content creator. He's respectable enough to where I'm like, this kid's killing it.
Yeah.
Jay Beats does stuff.
Oh yeah.
Killing it. And you've attracted through the respect that we have for you. This is a pivotal point. You've attracted talent because we actually respect you. That's what I'm trying to say is like, there's people who have respect and there's people who just pay people to be around. Mm-hmm. You actually have respect. So even if they weren't being paid, they would still be building up that vision. And that's a different type of, back and forth that you have, a different relationship. That's the word that you have with your audience. But yeah, I'm always like, man, we've had great people on the channel. Curtis King used to contribute to BusyWorks Beats, Alex Rome, Mr. Different, Craftmaster Productions, even at one point. They're all entities themselves. But I guess what I had to realize is that I was lifting up entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are going to want to do their own thing at some point in time. They're not going to stay up under you. And I just had to realize that and just take it for what it was and not get attached.
I remember you were saying that at the MIDI Money thing. You were talking about that, about how it's, because I think that was all how we were talking about. We were just saying like it's it's hard to really build a long lasting team when everyone really has these entrepreneur dreams and entrepreneur themselves, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But continue on, because I think you're about to get into that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, yo, Kaylin is like supportive of you, like treasure that, because there's so many women out here that are like, oh, I want a baller, I want a CEO, a producer grind, but they want to be the man of the relationship, like they want to be the leader of the relationship. They don't want to support. Does that make sense? So there's well, with black women, you'll get this a lot with black women, and not to say black women are lesser. It's that they're programmed to be independent from like birth because they saw their single mother, and they think that women have to only get it on their own just in case the guy leaves and all this type of stuff. So they're programmed to destroy this dynamic that has to be there for a solid relationship. So when you find that feminine, co-partner, just realize like how good that is. I'm talking to everybody else in the chat, because romantic relationships are the same thing as business relationships. Meaning, if you found a TB and his only goal is to make a company, just use you until he makes his own company, then now you got to find another TB and grow him up, which is fine if he wants to move on. But you found a TB who's supportive, marketing when he doesn't need to market, like hopping in my lives, tagging me, I'm hopping in the thing, and now I'm like, oh, TB's cool, like all over the place, Twitch streams, and you don't have to tell him to do that because he's intrinsically motivated.
Facts.
And not only that, but he's there to support the bigger vision. You're a man on a mission. He's there to support the vision that you have.
Nah, TB's the GOAT. Shout out to TB.
I want to leave a little quote with the people, which I forgot to mention, is that this is kind of like just a random quote that you guys can have, which is, every tree comes from a seed, but every seed doesn't turn into a tree.
Every tree comes from a seed, but every seed doesn't turn into a tree.
And I think people watch your interviews and your conversations that you have, they look at the end result, and which is the tree, so to speak. But they don't see all the seeds that we planted to become the tree. They just want to be the tree and think if they just do one thing, they'll become the tree.
That's big.
They don't see the thousands of seeds that we had to plant.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you're getting at with the come up story. I just put it all together. There it is. That makes sense.
It finally is making sense. we solved the conspiracy there.
Yeah, that's funny. But I think that's what you're tapping into on a deep level. Did you want to bring people in, or are they?
Yeah, let's bring people in, man.
Okay.
This I think this is the longest morning show yet. We're going on almost 3 hours here. Let me see. Let me check my calendar. I think we do got to do a hard stop at 1. Okay. But we can.
Yeah,
we can.
I'm not time restricted. I only have a mentorship call at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, bet.
With Mixbus TV. Shout out to him. Oh, my mom said putting your eggs into one basket. That was the phrase I was looking for. Shout out there. Thank you. Who we got?
So it's a balance between not spreading yourself too thin, but not putting all your eggs in one basket. Is that what you were saying?
Yes. And I hate to be distracted by text, but I'm trying to get my car caught a flat the other day, and I'm trying to coordinate between the people coming to pick up the car. So hopefully they're not outside. Anyway, who we got?
Jay Nedick was good. This is my guy right here, man. Shout out to Jay Nedick. Helps us a lot, man, with the morning show and our timestamps and all that. Really good dude right here.
How you doing, bro? Can you hear me?
Doing good. Yes, sir, man. How you?
I'm good, man. My heart is beating right now. I don't know why I'm nervous.
So
I think it's because like I'm in just this conversation with like two high value providing individuals. So I just
appreciate that.
Don't want to take too much of you guys' time, but just want to say thank you guys for all that you guys do. I'm so nervous right now.
I was like, I hope your heart's beating, because that means you're alive. I hope
it is. Especially busy works like my story, I'll be short. Like I come from like an athletic background. I used to play sports, went to college, did business, like no musical background at all. I started producing in 2018, end of 2018. So about 2 years now, going on 3 years. And I just want to say, like, you've played a big role in my production. Like with everything I bought, the music theory essentials, the melody magic, chord magic, like
thank you.
All of that has helped me, definitely shaped me. My channel is going on 1,000 subs. And I just want to say thank you. Like you played a big part in that. I really appreciate that. And just wanted to say thank you for that. Dylan, thank you for the platform. this conversation you guys had today was like really deep level. Um, I think like the biggest takeaway from it for me, like from my perspective, you guys talked a lot. I can't say that everybody can agree with everything, and that's just life. You can't always agree with people. Like everybody has their differences,
For
but
sure.
there's definitely things you can learn from the differences that those people have as well. And I think like the biggest thing that you hit on today in this conversation was just like as producers, like we need to see ourselves as entrepreneurs, you know. And the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who takes financial risk, you know. Every producer, when you start, like you're taking a risk, like you can get a regular 9 to 5, you can get any kind of job. Like there's no guarantee that we're gonna make money in the music business. So like we need to start like operating as entrepreneurs ourselves. And the biggest thing that I also got from this conversation, I think is Master P who said it, you know, like if somebody offers you $1 million, like what's your true worth, you know? And I think like this whole conversation, you were talking about that, like with these big companies, like if they offer you like 100K, and Dylan, you were touching on that too, like what do they really see you as, you know, like even if they give you like a free version of a software to demo on your tutorials. So I think that's something that we need to instill in ourselves as producers, like even producers who make tutorials, is just like instilling that concept of like you're a producer, but like realistically, you're an entrepreneur more than anything else. So just like that's something I don't think about when I'm making beats, and it's something that I'm gonna start to think about more now and like progressing more towards my journey as a producer and as an entrepreneur and an individual. And I just want to say thank you guys for putting this show together today. There was a lot of gems if you were like really paying attention, like below the conversations, like surface level. If you went deeper and understanding like what you guys were talking about, there was definitely a lot of gems to it. And I just want to say thank you guys for the show today. Thank you, Dylan, for bringing Busy on. Busy, thank you for the gems and everything that you put together with your content. And just say keep doing what you guys are doing. Appreciate it.
Most definitely, man. Appreciate you, bro.
First,
Yeah.
I gotta say thank you for your business for one. Thank you for the testimonial for two. You're about to hit it. You said you hit 1,000 subscribers, so like you're on the move.
I'm just coming up on it. I'm at like 834. So I should hit it by the end of the year for sure.
Dope.
You got to celebrate when you hit the 1,000. And I'm glad you came on because this is what I'm saying. There's a different cloth. There's the entrepreneur cloth, employee cloth of mindset. And Dylan attracts people who are intrinsically motivated to create on their own. That's when you're a leader, you attract leaders, is what I'm trying to say. So the fact that you're even working together means that you're going to be a leader at some point. Not saying you're not right now, but you are going to be that position. It's just of the cloth. And shout out to Dylan for even, however you linked. I don't know how you said you linked, but
Dylan posted on his IG that he was looking for somebody to help him. And I was like, man, this is a great opportunity to like be around somebody like Dylan and see what he's doing. Let me just see how things go. Let me just take it and see what the opportunity brings for itself. And I just felt like Dylan gives so much to the producer community. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but I have an internship right now. And when we were not working from home, every day of the internship, I got a Producer Grind episode going on.
That's fine.
Every day while I'm working, so I was just like, man, this guy's really helping me out a lot. Like, you don't see it, Dylan, but like those interviews that you give, there's moments as a producer where you're just like, man, I don't even believe in myself. But then when you hear other people's stories, you're like, man, everybody went through the same thing. So those podcasts definitely have a lot of value to them.
Most definitely.
Yeah, those morning shows, like you influenced me, Dylan. I don't even know if you know, but on Instagram, I would go live at 10 a.m. or like after your show, I would go live and just do the gem thing. You influenced that.
Appreciate it.
Can you imagine the world with two Dylans? Like it's going to be better than one Dylan. And that's what I'm saying. When you attract leaders and you multiply yourself through the other person, it becomes a better world as opposed to just attracting somebody who's just going to be working and never want to escalate up to a higher position. That's what I mean by we respect Dylan for the respect. It's deeper than like just a position. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I definitely like something I picked up on. I think like for me personally, I think as well, I think you see the potential. Like, I'm not trying to say anything against you, Dylan, or anything that you have going on, but I feel like Busy sees like a lot more potential in like what you can do as an individual. And I kind of caught on that, like as far as like your platform, I don't want to say like I know everything either myself, because I don't know what your business model is or what you're trying to accomplish. But I definitely feel like maybe down the road, if it's something that Dylan wants to step into, like he can definitely play a role as far as being an individual who pushes that, what you were trying to get across, like giving back instead of putting our money into these corporations. Not saying that what they make is not great. Like the individuals in those corporations, they might not come from a musical background or a producer background. So their interest is more like, how can I expand my business instead of how can I expand like the producer community and create more leaders in the producer community. And I think Dylan does a great job of that. Like you're not just influencing us to be producers, like you're influencing us to be leaders in the community as producers, you know, and that's definitely something that I picked on.
Most definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time. I know a lot of people have questions, but I just want to say thank you guys and keep doing what you guys are doing.
Shout out to Jay.
Yes, sir.
It's the producer army, man. Like you got generals, you got lieutenants, you got sergeants, you got soldiers. This is where do you want to be? We're creating our own nation, like literally. We need forces. That's all I'm getting at. Shout out to Jay though.
Appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna hop off.
All right, man. Appreciate you pulling up, bro.
Me on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro.
Next up, we got Segundo, man. Segundo, what's good, bro?
You know what that means in Spanish, right?
No, what's Segundo mean? Second?
Second.
Second.
You need to be first. Primero. I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah, I think you can hear us. He's just there you go.
What that means in Spanish, right? Now, what's Segundo mean? Second. You need to be first. Primero.
Hey, y'all can hear me though?
Yeah, what's good? Can you mute that YouTube video in the background?
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. I was all into the video.
Now you good, bro. What's good, man?
What's up with you guys?
Chilling.
All right, cool. So to answer your question, why am I El Segundo? It's because my dad beat me to it. He was the first one.
There you go. That's dope.
Oh, so you're named the second. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the second, basically. I'm a junior. So
dope.
He basically beat me to it. So I'm at that spot. But yeah, I was basically gonna say, all right, so I have a crazy situation going on right now just because the studio I used to be in, I kind of it was crazy because I was going through it like with the whole Charlie thing with the like speaking into existence. And I live in LA, and then I was like, damn, I would always want to go to like a studio in downtown LA. I ended up in one, right? So I ended up being like, I learned how to engineer there, do all kind of crazy stuff, but it shut down. So now I'm having trouble on like, what's my next move? Like, what would y'all say would be like, you know what? Future-proof yourself in a way. You get me?
What's the way to future? No, go ahead. I was just trying to clarify the question. The best way to go into this and future-proof yourself?
Yeah, so like basically I was making it like side income, you know, from like learning from how to engineer stuff. So I was like earning like $30 an hour. But I'm not saying it would be like so consistent to the point where it's like, oh, I'm going crazy.
Right.
Like I'm spending a bag on like Gucci or whatever. Now it was more like a chill, like I'm getting something, you know?
Okay.
But now I'm trying to establish myself. Like I see how Busy Works beats. Like, bro, I've been learning off you since I first started. And then Dylan got me crazy on the whole marketing like game. I'm trying to step on my Instagram and everything now.
Mm-hmm.
So what step would you say for someone who's like trying to brand himself? Like I'm trying to put money into this. Like what you just say Instagram ads or what?
Yeah. Well, let's you have a good question, but I want to reframe your question so that we can actually pull the most out of it. What's your goal? What do you actually believe you can do? That is the next step. We have to start with the goal and then we work backwards. So what is the next thing you actually want and you believe that you can actually achieve it?
Okay, so look, I had this crazy vision where it's like, all right, I want to set up this whole like studio, as in like, all right, we bring like, let's say you were just an artist that just trying to rap and trying to start off and like do all this. We bring you in. We we have a team where we have graphic designers, so we got the covers, we got the videographers, so we got the music videos covered, all that thing. Make it kind of like, have you heard of Disney Synergy type of system?
I
Mm-mm.
haven't.
So like how Disneyland basically hires their own like audio crew, production crew. It's all in-house. You get me? So you don't have to like be searching out, having to like look for all kind of people. I'm trying to make that one-stop shop where it's like, okay, there's the studio, we got the engineering, we got the graphics, we got the videography, we have everything in the back end, kind of like a label, I guess you could say. But basically, I don't want to like, I want to just provide services, not take away the services of like, oh, give me like 50% of like your royalties and all this and that. It's more like create an opportunity for these artists. If that makes
Hell yeah, I
sense.
like that. I like that.
Yeah, and I'm actually creating this around the Philadelphia area with my new studio. And what the problem is the same thing you're struggling with. Here's a quick little gems that you guys need to know. Firstly, when they walk into the studio, whose agenda are they going to be on? Your agenda or their agenda? Because that's going to separate how you structure your studio. Because an artist coming in trying to make their song, they want to dictate and do all this stuff. So you're going to have an audio engineer who can translate whatever the heck they're trying to say all the time. Now, if you're a sound design studio like mine will be, or a content studio, then you're hiring or subcontracting artists to come in. It's not them coming in on their own time; they're on my time, and we dictate the vision for what's coming out. So that's the first step: is just deciding, is your studio going to be one where they're booking online and they get whatever they want out of it, or are you trying to be a production house like you mentioned, where you hire out artists or have some type of incentive for the artist to come in and create what you need to fit your ecosystem? That's the first question you have to
Oh,
ask yourself.
okay. I see what you mean. I was mostly looking for like something like that way we could cater to them so that they could stay as a happy customer, and then that way we could push them into like different like sections of budgets of like, all right, you got this budgets, like let's say you got 10K.
Mhm.
I mean, of course not everyone's gonna have 10K ready to go, but like let's say there's some that have like, all right, with $500 we could work a lot with that, you know. Have our marketing team that just gonna push like Facebook ads for them. We have our design team already linking up and all this and that. Like kind of make a whole ecosystem of like pushing them through a whole like funnel, I guess you say.
Yeah, and Dylan, if you don't mind me kind of giving my bullet answers.
No, go ahead, bro.
Oh, I didn't want to overtalk you. So what you're trying to create is an incubator. So they're getting more value than just the transaction of time exchange for some result, whether they finish a song or not. You're trying to get them in the marketing, music video. That's what I'm trying to do too. But in order to build a team with no money, you have to incentivize people with the things that they value. So for example, you can have, for example, my studio, I want artists to come in to help us create sound packs, for example. Now, if they're going to be creating a sound pack, what do they get out of it? So I have to ask myself, what do they get out of it? Oh, they have a finished song that they can do with the extra hour of time that I'm going to give them. So they give me 4 hours of their time to make the sound pack stuff. I give them an hour of free time to record whatever song they want. They walk away with something that they value, which is called a song. It's not always money that the exchange is what I'm trying to say. So when you bring in a photographer, what do they get out of it? I literally have a piece of paper somewhere around here where I wrote every position I want. And I said, without money, what does this person get? And you literally have to pick your brain to say, okay, the photographer can come in and get his brand stamped on people who will be influencers for his brand to attract more customers. The videographer can get credited on all my stuff. He gets distribution to a large channel. I just happen to have a large channel. You don't have that right now. So, he gets credited with me. That's the same way, working with any huge company. People put it on their resume, their portfolio. I'm vouched by Busy. He gets more work because of that. So you have to go through each position literally and fix that. Now, one thing you mentioned though, is you want to have it like, okay, they can come in for getting their song mixed, or song recorded, or they can get it, the upsell in this case, as Dylan would say, get it recorded, mixed and mastered. The upsell might be production, mix and master, and the full song. And then the highest level might be music video, song, mix and master, the full package with marketing. You have to create what we talked about McDonald's, the small, medium, large.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's not that everybody's going to go after the XL because it's just everything. Some people do because they're like, I want everything. It's more so a psychological thing for people to understand the value of the lower things. So whenever you go to, I'm trying to think of a website. Oh, like what's a website that would do this? Okay, so like a jewelry website. There's a place called Shop GLD. I bought some jewelry there because actually it's on my neck. I forgot. Okay. So this is not real diamonds, people. I did not spend 30,000 on some diamonds. That'd be retarded. Oh, excuse me, ridiculous. Sorry, my language. Keep it PC. These are called CZ, cubic zirconium or whatever. It looks just like diamonds. You cannot tell the difference. So I said, let me just get something that looks flashy and shiny at Shop GLD. Now, the cool part is that you can get the actual thing for like $30,000. So it makes me think, oh, I'm not buying cheap jewelry. If they sell the real $30,000 option, I'm just buying the one that's not real diamonds. It's lab diamonds. That's the only difference. It looks the exact same, shines the exact same. Why would I spend $30,000 when I can get it for $150,000? So they're using the higher level upsell as a price contrast to help you justify the lower prices. So you can have all that cool stuff as an option for $1,500 or whatever, but people are gonna be like, I don't want to spend $1,500, but I will spend $300 to get the lower tier option. So that's what the price tier will be about. You might not have a lot of clients with that, but just use it. You have to structure it that way. But the biggest question for you is really just how are you going to incentivize people without money? You really have to sit down and go through each position and say, okay, what are they working for? They're not working for free. Like nothing's free.
Of course. So it wouldn't just be just a payment. It's also like them having relationships with certain artists. So like, for example, I'm not super tapped in, but I do have some relationship with like a lot of LA artists. So like, just because I'm in the hood, So the whole thing behind that is just I'm trying to bring in people that like, let's say there's some photographers that are like in USC based, they come in because they're from other countries or other spots, trying to get to know like, oh, who's like this? Like, how can I explain? They're not the most poppin', but they're relevant inside the city. So basically trying to get them to have relationships. Who knows? Like, yeah, they may not work with me no more, but their photography career just has expanded because they got this other opportunity here. There, like, it's not really about like, oh, I want you to stick with me. It's like, now I want to create opportunity not only for me, but like not only for the clients as well, but like for whoever is working in the team,
Yeah.
Make a community kind of like a pool.
Yeah, you're what you're doing is creating like a Megatron, right? It's a mastermind of different positions. You're all forming a horizontal network, it's called, to create a greater results for the macro market. You don't need to know all that means. The point is you have to constantly keep selling them on what could be. It's always about the dream. This is why guys who don't have $1 million in their bank account can get a hot girlfriend, because he keeps selling her on the idea that one day he'll have $1 million in his bank account. You understand?
I feel it, like kind of giving the illusion.
Not even to lie, but just so to keep reminding them the reality of what could be. You have to keep reminding people. They're going to forget. It's out of sight, out of mind. And one thing you really have to do, not only just know the incentives per each position, you also have to call up the artist and say, what do you value? Because I talked to an artist recently and they said, you know what I value? A comfy couch, a refrigerator, lights, like stuff that had nothing to do with music.
Right.
So
like the whole setting, basically.
Yeah, like, do they really value photos or do they not? You have to call up your artist clients and ask them what they actually want. Some people just want a cool photo shoot, standing in front of an SSL board or whatever. Some people want the bigger studio, or some people want to be loud because they can't be loud at home. You have to find the real values of why they're coming to your place. It's not always like the quality of music.
Right.
That's the basic commodity.
Again, I didn't even think about that action. Yeah.
Yeah, but you really got to call people up, talk to them, have a real conversation, because that's what you're missing right now.
All right. No, well, I appreciate that.
That's what would you consider that? That's a blend of sales and marketing.
You missed the sound effect because I blew the wind that way. Dylan knows.
Sheesh.
El Segundo, we want to see you primero tomorrow. I want to see you start taking the stuff into action. There's no waiting time, especially if you're kind of relying on this for income. You need to hop on it.
Oh yeah. No even trip. Don't even trip. I'm gonna be honest, straight up.
Good man.
All right, bro.
Thank you guys.
Yes, sir, man. I think we got time for One more. Let's see.
I didn't mean to overtalk. It's just I was so in that right now that I.
No, you're
had
good,
a-
bro. This like the Q&A is more for the guests too. You know what I mean? I do my own little Q&A, so this is definitely your show right here, bro.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's see. We got Alec. Oh shit, we got Alec in here.
Alec Baldwin?
Yes, sir.
Nah.
Yeah. He's a big morning
The
show.
Alec Baldwin.
Big morning 30 Rock. Yeah, he's a big morning show fan.
That's crazy. Shout out to Alec Baldwin.
Oh, Ben snuck in here. Okay, I thought I had disconnected. Ben, what's good, bro?
Man, did I cut someone's line?
No, you're good, bro. Go ahead.
Sweet. Absolutely a pleasure to meet you, Carlin.
Hey.
There's another guy on the team right here too. This is Ben right here. Ben's dope, man.
And dope.
I just love talking shop about the business side of stuff. Like that's what gets me excited. And I absolutely know we're coming up on time here. I love the talk about iTunes, Shopify, in terms of how convenient and in terms of the fight against piracy, huge tools, but absolutely it devalued the product. I've got a question. I'd like to pick your brain a little bit about what you think about from the supply chain level of music, the concept of royalty free, how it was a necessity, but in my opinion, I almost would argue that it did the same thing as, say, Spotify in terms of devaluing the product. And now you've got this whole internet of producers who are undercut because of this model we created. What do you think about that?
Good question. To me, the problem with the iTunes model and like Splice is like going back to the McDonald's example. We can't buy one French fry. How can we buy one kick from a kit and one snare from this kit and another hi-hat from over here and everything's the same token? Some things are valued higher than others. And that's what I meant about the whole Splice iTunes thing. So there needs to be a difference in value. But royalty free doesn't necessarily mean it's priced the same. So I think that's the difference, is that royalty free is marketing to the masses. Whereas stuff that's royalty pending is marketing to the affluent. And when I learned marketing from Dan Kennedy, he talks about there's two major markets. You're either talking to everybody or you're talking to the handful of like leaders who have millions. And that's where I guess most people are trying to play both sides. And that's why it's so confusing. So I guess to answer your question, royalty free doesn't necessarily mean it's all the same price. I don't think it devalues. I think it is marketing to everybody. And
absolutely. Like what I suppose what I'm more getting at is, it used to be the case where, and it is often still the case, especially when you're working through relationships where, you got a beat maker, they've created a melody and they successfully land a placement with a relevant artist who will actually do them some good, and they've their deal included a split from that. But I highly believe what does happen a lot is you got these labels catching on that, wait a minute, we have all of these people creating royalty free melodies now or beats. Why are we putting deals out on the table that involve any splits when we can just go spend 30 USD on a pack of, create like 30 melodies and use them as much as we want? We can beat everyone to the punch in terms of, getting those melodies who we don't actually own the rights to, but we can use them royalty free. And we beat everyone to the distribution. So now it's blocking everyone else from using those same, melodies that they have a perfect right to use, but we beat them to the punch with it. This is kind of the thing I start to see going on. And I'm like, we've created this dynamic amongst our own industry where now it's starting to come back and hurt the guys at the, lower levels of it. So it's just an interesting thing,
It's a good caveat. And I talked to my attorney, Ash Kernan, about this, especially when selling beats and non-exclusive versus exclusive. There has to be language in the terms that says that they don't own the copyright for the actual loop. So they can make a different composition from the loop and own that, but they don't own the actual loop. So there's no me selling 1,000 loops and then one person got the placement and now the other 999 can't use it because I still own the copyright. So they can create their derivations, whatever the proper legal term is, and own the derivation, but they can't own the actual source material. So that prevents against.
Ben, are you talking more about like content ID? Like as soon as one person whoever gets to the TuneCore first and claims the content ID, all the other people that use that same loop on YouTube are punished. Is that what you were saying, or?
Yeah, that's kind of what does go on, and absolutely, like Carlton's right. Legally, that's not the case, but there's so much music being published every day. These labels, they're not checking, what the actual rights they have to every sample. It comes down to the producer disclosing that. And absolutely, if the owner of the Melody Pack like caught onto this and like pushed back, they would have total legal grounds. But it's like the small guys are, barking up, trying to get heard, and there's a lot of getting taken advantage of that. I think it does go on. So it's just this stuff I've started thinking about.
Well, let's break it down, because you're saying a lot and you're introducing really intelligent questions. And one of those is just general liability. Like if I put out a course, technically somebody could steal the course and put it on their website until I find out. I mean,
Sure.
technically. Right. But if we're always, you'll talk to a lot of lawyers about this because they get the fees for this. Is it worth spending $10,000 to pursue some guy who just made $500 from stealing your course?
Right.
When you just made $100,000, like, is it worth chasing every single person?
Yeah, well, definitely not, right?
Yeah, that's one aspect. Another aspect is just the vendor to the distributor relationship, because you talk about supply chain. So I'm assuming you think linear like that. So no, let's not use McDonald's. Are you familiar with like drop shipping?
Absolutely.
So with drop shipping, okay, we got a manufacturer out in China. They make those little stupid, what are those things called? The spinners?
Fidget spinners?
Fidget spinners. Now they sell them to me at $1 a piece. I could buy however many I want. Let's say I buy 1,000. They don't own. Now at that point, I can sell them and white label them, whatever the terminology is, under my own brand. So now they're not branded. I slap my brand on it, sell it for 500. I made 500,000 off of the 1,000 I spent. Did they come chasing after me for royalties of me selling the fidget spinner?
No, sir.
And I think we just have to understand, some companies have leverage when it comes to the supply chain. I forget, was it Dylan that said this? Who said this? Basically, some suppliers sell at wholesale and that's it. Whereas other suppliers, they will only work with you if they get royalties. And I'll break you guys into a little business talk. I'm developing software. The software is called Hermes Synth. It's on my website, hermesplugin.com, www.hermesplugin.com. We're making an update soon. And we found out that Steinberg owns the VST format. Now, it gets convoluted, so I'm trying to make it simple. Long story short, if you sign their agreement, you can use their format without owing royalties. You can sell as many copies as you want using their software development kit, it's called, and make as much money as you want. As long as you sign their terms and be like, okay, you guys own VST. I don't own it. You can't resell the developer kit. Cool with me. But for the people who don't agree to those terms, they actually get taxed. I think it's 5% penalty or royalty fee if they don't agree to those terms, if they find out that they're using the VST format and all those type of things. So that would be the case where it's like a double-pronged thing. It's royalty-free technically, but it's also, if they fine you against their terms, it's punitive, meaning then there's the royalties coming in. But I guess it's just like Dylan says all the time. It's a weighing of, do you have the distribution to sell hundreds of thousands of copies of these royalty-free things? Because that will equal more than the placement sometimes. Or are you banking on, and it's like, or are we banking on the income from the placement? And I think when we sell royalty-free, that's our immediate income. And we can sell hundreds of thousands of loops. Great. The person who I sell it to, their income source is the placement. So they're looking at a whole different type of income source. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I just wanted to introduce some like real world ways it works.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like everything you're saying making sense. I think I for myself, I enjoy looking at like, the grand scheme of it and like what are the trends. And the reality is in terms of upfront profit, beat makers and sound designers, like they have a great opportunity now to be selling to people who are just getting into the whole idea of creating music. You got a whole spectrum of TikTokers now who, they're used to the idea of creating a video now with their iPhone, but it's actually not that big of a stretch to say that these same people who are creative could absolutely get into making their own music and stuff too, and just combining those two skill sets. So in terms of who you're selling to with beats and sample packs, sorry, not beats, but sample packs, your market is huge now. But the trend is absolutely royalty free, and I absolutely see the appeal of it. You know, it was necessary back when you know, it was so difficult to get actual clearance to use someone else's piece of work. You know, never mind getting a good deal, you know, to do it, you know, make it affordable. So it was absolutely necessary. But now as communication channels have improved tremendously, like it's so like I'm here talking to Carlin, who you know, in my normal circumstance, you know, before internet, that never would have been a possibility. You know, so you have these communication channels to have those discussions, and I guess I'm just looking at, you know, you have the big dogs though who understand this as well, and in terms of their own, you know, they're making huge bank like from those who are creating final end products that are the ones getting like on the billboards and stuff, and there's nothing stopping them from using that same content as well. So I guess I'm just looking at the upsides and downsides of the royalty free concept. Is it created a lot of opportunity, but there are going to be areas where it comes and bites those original creators in the butt as well. And I just like reflecting and going like, well, is there anything we could be doing differently or pushing people to do differently? Because it's a industry question. It's not like a one player has to decide to do it differently. It's like a discussion that has to take place if that is ever to shift in either direction. So anyway, I appreciate your time, bro.
No, Ben is very intelligent with his questioning, and I want to answer what you're saying because you're helping a lot of people understand something.
Sure.
And you're right. Some companies milk this, and it comes back to that classic debate of like the CEO versus the workers. The workers want more pay. Like Amazon, they almost started a union because they're like, Jeff Bezos is a trillionaire. Why aren't we making $3,000 an hour? And it's like sometimes the work we do is only worth a certain value. Like it can't go up in value. Like twisting a screw is only worth 50 cents a minute. You know, we're not doing anything to really improve this unless we do it faster or whatever. That's when we can ask for the raise. And that's in a factory mindset. But this is a classic debate of, you know, you're watching the lion's share. This is what I was talking to Dylan about leveraging is, let me make it easier for your audience to understand. So with touring, have you ever been to a concert or seen like the concert flyer?
Yeah, sure.
You know, the people in the small letters versus the people in the huge font.
Supporting an artist, yeah.
Yeah, and those small letter people, they just don't have enough leverage to even ask for percentages or ask for the back end. They just don't have negotiation power. They're leveraged
Happy to be there.
Yeah, the distribution is the ultimate leverage. The people who have the connection to the consumers have the ultimate leverage all the time because they don't need anybody else. The people need them to get to the audience. So that's what we have to start building up as a producer community. And I wrote down some notes just so I could stay on track. Royalty, I guess that was my point. But here's what I was going to say. With the labels, Sound Oracle, and he's mentioned this on our interview. He said, you know, labels hire him to identify samples. Even if producers sign off, like this is my entire work, labels will hire him to listen to the song to identify samples. He's so good, he can identify a snare from a record.
That's nuts, man. Wow.
So that's how important it is for these companies sometimes to find, because think about it, if you're not a huge company and you're putting out music and you got to have 3,000 different splits for every single song, that's an admin nightmare.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's like it's not logistically plausible to do.
Right. And only those big companies have the infrastructure enough to be able to pay out microscopic royalties for every single thing. So that's maybe why some independent people pay out royalty free. Whereas, you know, if you were situated like UMG or any one of those companies, you can get a pub deal. You can make song splits where it gets into the percentages of a percentage. Yeah. That's because they have all that. I'm not sure everybody has that system. But you're making good points, like royalty free. I'm gonna make a video. Like, should we do royalty free?
Explore it, right? I'm sure there's lots of angles I haven't even considered. So
interesting. But here's what I was gonna say. But you're right. I know I'm kind of dragging this on, but you're making a lot of good points. I think the people who do give out royalty free should be in the forefront. Whenever I do a royalty free pack, like with Iveen or 7 Foot G, who's a guitarist, Iveen's a harp player, known as a harp player, but she plays a lot of instruments. I always slap their name on everything that they put out with me. Because yeah, it's coming under the BusyWorks Beats brand, but Iveen did this. So her incentive is actually building a brand that she couldn't just build through simple royalties or whatever, because she wouldn't have had the opportunity. So that's her advantage in that case.
Yeah, no, that's a great practice, to support the community who supported you, to give credit where credit's due. And, that's something I'm starting to be a big proponent of for sure.
Good looks, man. Thanks for the good questions. That was really intelligent.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the discussion.
Cheers. Most definitely, man. Appreciate you, man.
But again, it comes back to the power of saying no. Do you have the power to say no?
Right.
Don't. So they have to take all these royalty stuff. Go ahead.
So I'm 5 minutes over, but I accidentally I thought I had let Alec and Bennett at the same time, so I can't do my boy Alec like this, man. Go ahead, man. Get your question off, bro.
Yeah, what's up? I don't really like, my question isn't as interesting as the other guys. My question is just like what is the best way to market yourself and brand yourself?
Good question. Just being like your shirt, it instantly stood out as like a brand. Like I could tell you're very laxed. Do you have a father in the home?
Not here, no.
Okay. Do you have brothers, siblings?
Yeah.
In the house?
Yeah.
Are they older than you?
No.
You have younger brothers?
Yeah.
I could tell, like, just off of your personality. Like, how old are you?
I'm 14.
14. I can tell, though. When you get into college, you're gonna be getting the girls. You're probably gonna want to get in the frat. I could already tell, like, your personality type, where you fit in, because I went to school around folks like you, and you're gonna build such a concrete personality that becomes your thing. Like everybody tries to market something, like, oh, I have this new pen, or like this new Stream Deck, or whatever. But you don't realize you're really marketing a connection between people, because everybody thinks they're alone in this world, right? I mean, for the most part. And we want to find people who we don't want to be alone. So we're like, all right, who's like me, so where I can be comfortable enough to be around them. And when they find out the commonalities that you have between you and them, they're going to be like, wow, I resonate with Alec. Like, it feels like my brother. Like, he's not in my house, but I feel like I could talk to him about stuff. Like, we like the same video games. We like the same stuff. That's what you're actually selling, is the bond. It's not about the thing that you're trying to push. It's the bond. So you need to understand what you're bonding with the people over. Like, are you a music producer in the community, or what's your thing?
I'm mainly a loop maker for the guys at Team PG and just people in general.
Team PG, is that what you guys call yourselves now?
Team PG? Team producer. No, Alex,
is there another name?
Name? Alex is super fire at loops, man. Super fire.
Yeah, man. Like, first of all, you're way ahead of everybody, for one. Just recognize that you're way ahead of everybody, like by 10 years. And two is that you're getting experience that you literally can't get anywhere else. That's 2. 3 is, you said you're a loop maker, and your goal is what? What's your goal, though? You said to market and sell? What are you trying to sell?
No, my goal is to, I don't know, is to be financially stable before 18, to get placements, sell loop kits, sell beats, support my family. That's my goal before 18, because then I know, you know what I mean?
What do you mean by family? The people,
like my people who, like my mom, my dad, who raised me, as they help me, I want to help them.
So that's a lot of money. You're gonna have to make like $20,000 a month.
Yeah, that's the goal.
There we go. Okay, I like your goal. It's very big, and it's beyond you, which is really important. You're not thinking selfishly. You're thinking selflessly, which is really important. So the first thing you have to understand is leverage. We talked about this earlier. But when you're making a beat, break it up into different things, right? Do you make content like YouTube?
No, I don't.
What are you on, a Mac or PC?
I'm a PC.
PC. All right. Get this app called, it's free because the owner passed away, so it's free now. It's called Audio Link Pro. I think it's called ODEUS, Audio Link Pro. It's free. It's absolutely free. What it helps you do is record the audio from FL Studio. In your microphone, you have like is that a Blue Yeti?
Yeah.
Snowball?
Yeah.
It helps you record that mic and your FL Studio audio. So you could do like on computer videos and stuff. That's where I started. But what you have to do is think about one thing in multiple ways. So when you're making your beat naturally, you can do a beat video live stream or content piece, then break it down to say, oh, I also made you this loop that you can get from this beat. That's another piece of content. Then the other one was pitch it to placements. And you could take that product and then pitch it to a third opportunity. So you're doing 3 things out of one thing. You're not just making a beat. You're making a beat and filming it, chopping it up into micro content. You're putting out a loop for the content, and you're pitching it off to somebody else for a potential opportunity. So you need to get in a mindset of doing one thing that accounts for many things. And it's just going to be a natural flow. You already have the stuff. You have the mic, you have the PC, you got the webcam, you got the mentality. You're 14, you got time. Like, it's just a matter of stepping on the gas, getting information from Dylan, because he can be your mentor. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you need to put yourself out there because you need to find the commonalities that you have with your audience. I don't know what you do for fun. Like, what do you do for fun outside of music?
I mean, no, nothing interesting.
Dang, you don't play Xbox, Call of Duty?
Bro, I stopped gaming a while ago. I got way into it.
Mm-hmm. But you have something that we can't understand. It's a generational gap of language and communication. So that's always going to be your common bond with your generation. They're just going to naturally vibe with you because you're like them. You look like them. You sound like them. You are them. And you become their avatar or their icon for their personality. Again, us humans, we don't want to be alone. And who do we trust the most? Who do you trust the most?
Like, I don't even know. Bro, my mom, I guess.
I was going to say ourselves. We trust ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So when we see ourselves in somebody else, we trust them. That becomes your product. How do you make other people see themselves in you? You already have the age factor. You already have the interest factor, which is FL. Now you just got to systematize and break the one thing into many things. So that's all it is just let them see themselves in you. That becomes the product. Don't worry about funnels and all this crap. Just worry about you bonding with people. That's the ultimate thing. All right. Hopefully your 14-year-old brain cells can absorb what I just said. Maybe
I'm 14, but like I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, you think you're not stupid.
I mean, I probably am. I usually do think I'm stupid, but when I understand something, I'm like, okay.
A wise man knows he knows nothing.
All right.
But Alec, yeah, that's your strategy, is focus on the bonding element. And I want you to rewatch it because we talked about common interest and how to build up that earlier. So that's the steps on how to do it. Because you don't have money. You don't have marketing money. You don't have sales distribution channels. You have Dylan. You have Team Producer Grind. That's all you have right now. That's why I said leverage the moment, because they are your distribution. They are your influence. They are it's called a symbiotic relationship. And you're giving them something, they can give you something in return. And they own the distribution. You don't own anything yet. So you gotta play your part until you can influence enough people to build your own distribution. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Alex gonna be a millionaire by 18. I guarantee it. He is the freaking mindset. I wish I thought that smart at 14.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Bet it
Just
up.
keep doing. Stop asking and just keep doing.
Hey, but I'm gonna let y'all go. I appreciate you.
All right, bro. Appreciate you tapping in, man. Busy, bro. Where you at?
Oh,
Switch back
right
to
here.
Oh, there we go. Switch back to my view. Shoot, bro. Dope ass episode, man. Dope ass conversation. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying that this is their favorite one. Fire, man. We went over 3 hours. That's crazy. So shout out going over 3 hours. Give everyone some homework right now after this episode. I like to end these episodes off like this. What's the best thing someone can do right now after this episode is over to just better themselves, get closer to their goals, and build their brand better? If you could boil it down to something simple.
Good point. Grab 10 pieces of white paper and a pen for one. Second is write down your goals on the one piece of white paper for your business, personal, charity, spiritual, relationship goals, all on one paper. And you write that every single day of the week until it's burned into your brain. That's one. Two is I had a cooler thing to say. The goal thing threw me off. What was your question? Just so my brain can re-trigger.
Give us some homework of something we can do.
Oh, here's what I was going to say. My bad. My brain kind of stuttered for a second. You guys need to do market research. So you need to look at the objective needs of the market first. Go to Google Trends. Go to Google Keyword Planner. Type in your favorite keyword, like whatever type beat. See how much actual traffic is coming in per month, because it's not as much as you think. And I want you to go through all the keywords, map out the top keywords getting over 1 million searches a month, over 100,000 searches a month. Focus on only those keywords and topics to deliver to the actual demand of the market. and then you wrap your customized personality and content around that keyword. We can all talk about FL Studio, but we have different ways of talking about it. So hopefully I'm making sense to somebody out there. If you're on Mac, grab this program called Loopback to record your DAW audio and your screen and everything. If you're on PC, grab it. It's called Osseo Link Pro ODS. It's free. The developer passed away, but his brother kept the code alive. Trying to think of dramatic things people can do. The next thing is, I don't know. It's really just stepping up their goals. I just feel like people have like a hometown mentality. They think they're the coolest in the hometown, so they're somebody. And then when they go to college, they're like, wow, like I'm nobody. I thought I was somebody in my hometown, but freak. Now I got to compete against Todd, who has a $10 million trust fund.
There goes Todd again. Todd
is my enemy.
He took your girls, and now he's
Todd is forever.
He's taking everything.
He's gonna be forever the example for taking my girl. No. And what else is dramatic that you guys could use? One last thing I would say is, I'm thinking of marketing, business, is really mentor. It's following somebody who's of your best interest. I know that sounds so vague, but I literally the past week have been calling it mentors constantly. I have one at 4 p.m. today, Consult with Mixbus TV. If I'm investing thousands of dollars into the studio, I don't want to have to spend tens of thousands to figure out the mistakes I made. If I spend couple $100 to get somebody on the phone that can help me avoid the tens of thousands of dollars of mistakes, I'd rather do that and save my money so that I can invest it properly. It's called due diligence. And I don't think enough kids or producers or whoever do enough due diligence as to what it really takes to get to where they're trying to go. And that's why when you ask the people, El Segundo, Alec, and somebody else about their goals, we work backwards from the goal so that we can see everything that actually has to be done to get it done. For example, guys, this is my YouTube thing. Here's a little YouTube thing you guys can do as a walk away. Ready? On my channel, I have 100-something million views, 110 million, whatever it is, but I have 3,000 videos. So if you divide that number, I think you get around 30,000 is the number. That means I get 30,000 views on average for every video that I publish. And you have to do that math. You have to do simple math and work backwards. So if my goal now is to get 5 million views a month, and I know that every video gives me about 30,000 views, I divide that per the days in the month. It means that I need to put out 6 videos a day. That gives me around 200,000 views a day, which equals in total 5 million a month. So now I know exactly what I have to do to get to my goal. Goal is 5 million views a month. I need to do 6 videos a day. It makes it so simple because the law of averages means that it doesn't matter what the topic is. On average, my videos are going to get 30,000 views just based off of the analytics. So you guys just have to do that hardcore sitting down, looking at the market, looking at, your law of averages and just doing the work. Now it's okay. I know I have to do 6 videos a day. Am I really going to do 6 videos a day, or am I going to say it and never do it?
Right.
And that's all it is.
Gems on gems on gems.
People in here for a long time. Shout out to everybody.
What are we at now? We're at like 340 still?
I need to smash the like button though.
Yeah.
It's on 12 likes on my screen.
Are we
I need
serious?
this thing up to 900 likes.
Damn, that's horrible. Oh, now we're on 251 likes, but still, man, before you guys head out, smash that like button if you haven't hit subscribe. I don't know what you're doing, but busy, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate your time this morning. Dope conversation, dope advice, and yeah, man. Let's stay in touch, man.
Thank you for sure. Oh, can I ask you? At the end of the live stream, it pulls up that little stat thing.
Yeah.
Can you take a picture for it and send it?
I got you for sure.
I just want to see it. It's crazy. Okay, shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you, Dylan.
Yes, sir.
Much love and infinite respect.
Most definitely. Likewise, bro. Take it easy.